They say the sword immortal's secret record is a myth, a legend lost for 600 years. But for So Woonhwi, it was his only ticket out of hell. He found it. He swallowed it to hide it, and then his own allies drove a blade through his chest. Betrayal tastes like blood and cold steel. As the blue flames of the scroll consumed his dying body, Woonhwi didn't find peace. He found, yesterday. Waking up 10 years in the past with a shattered dantian and a second chance, Woonhwi realizes one thing. A good-for-nothing with future knowledge is the most dangerous man in the room. But he's not alone this time. His mother's old short sword, it's talking, and it's got the sassy spirit of a master who's seen it all. From a disposable spy to a student of the legendary Four Supremes, Woonhwi begins a desperate gamble to rewrite his tragic destiny. He's found a way to use internal energy without a dantian, but the cost is his own life force. Every strike brings him closer to power and closer to the grave. Now, as the shadow of the blood cult looms larger than ever, one question remains. Can Woonhwi kill the gods of his past, or is he just a pawn in a game he's already lost once? Let's see in this video. Under the cloak of a starlit night, torch-bearing figures navigated the treacherous, winding stone paths of Xinjiang's heavenly mountain. After 15 grueling days of suffering, a solitary figure finally reached his destination. Deep inside a dimly lit cavern, So Woonhwi knelt before an ancient shelf. He thought, grinning, I have finally gotten my hands on this. He clutched a weathered manual, his eyes gleaming. He thought, although it is filled with bizarre words, this is definitely the real thing. He had found the legendary sword Immortal's secret record, an ancient martial arts manual left behind over 600 years ago. His smile faded as a bitter reality set in. He thought, I would like to take it with me if I could, but there is no point in me having it since my dantian was destroyed. He carefully rolled the fragile parchment into a bamboo tube. He thought, if other martial artists know I have this, they will definitely steal it from me. I will hide this before anyone comes. Without hesitation, he shoved the bamboo tube deep into his mouth, forcing it down his throat. He swallowed hard, his neck bulging with the agonizing effort. He thought, groaning, I should have brought along some water. Suddenly, a voice echoed behind him. There you were. Woonhwi flinched and turned to see two imposing figures blocking the cavern exit. It was Murim So, Yellow Dragon Hall leader. He said, Hey, blood cult spy, did you find the sword Immortal's secreate record? Recovering his composure, Woonhwi addressed the spy handler. You are here, Sir Murim, he said. I have found it and hid it in a safe place. I will give it to you if you keep your promise. Beside Murim stood Beak Wihyang, a powerful elder from the Murim Alliance. Wihyang stroked his beard and said, Promise? I heard about it on my way here. You want us to get rid of the blood parasite that is within your chest, right? Murim gripped the hilt of his blade tightly. There was indeed such a promise, he admitted. With a sharp screech of metal, Murim drew his sword, plunging the cavern into sudden tension. But there is no need for that, he declared. A sinister grin stretched across Murim's face. Since you do not have a place to return to even after the blood parasite is removed, isn't that so? Woonhwi's tragic past flashed before his eyes. He was once a proud member of Yeong's So clan. But after experiencing a severe chi deviation, his dantian was shattered, and his clan mercilessly abandoned him. The horrific memory of 10 years ago resurfaced, the day he was kidnapped by the ruthless blood cult and infected with their deadly parasite. After that, you were manipulated by the blood cult into doing all sorts of things on their behalf, Murim taunted. Do you think there is any place that could offer you freedom after such a long time? Am I wrong, So Woonhwi? Woonhwi's eyes widened in realization. He thought, he knew everything about me? He glared at the handler and asked, What are you trying to say? Murim pointed his gleaming blade directly at Woonhwi's throat. Hand over the sword Immortal's secret record first, he demanded. Then he flashed a deceivingly bright smile. If you hand it over nicely, I will consider removing the blood parasite for you. Woonhwi stared at his own reflection in the cold steel. The sword Immortal's secret record, he began smoothly, is hidden in a place that only I can find. He stepped forward, unafraid of the blade. Murim's smile vanished. Woonhwi tapped his own chest defiantly. Do you not know my situation very well? Woonhwi challenged. I am not expecting the Orthodox sects to make an exception and accept me or something like that. He spoke with desperate sincerity. I just want to be free of the blood parasite and live like a normal person. Please get rid of the blood parasite first. If you do that, I will gladly hand over the sword Immortal's secret record. A deep, chilling chuckle echoed through the cave as Elder Beak Wihyang laughed. Ho ho ho. The old man sneered, his eyes filled with malice. Looks like you have thought a lot about this. Murim thrust his blade into Woonhwi's chest. Murim scoffed dismissively. It is obvious what a small-time spy like you would come up with. You have hidden it within your body, have you not? Blood sprayed from Woonhwi's mouth as betrayal struck him. He thought, stuttering mentally in pure fury, these bastards, did they intend on killing me from the start? Murim pulled back the cold steel through his chest. Moyang twisted the blade ruthlessly as Woonhwi stumbled back. Do not hate us for this, so Woonhwi, Moyang said coldly. From the moment you became a spy, you were destined to die, Moyang stated with absolute indifference. Woonhwi collapsed, his lifeblood pooling on the stone floor. He thought, his vision fading, damn it, this is so frustrating. How did I end up living a life like this? Above him, Moyang raised his sword high for the final, executing strike. The blade slashed down with lethal force, also setting the scroll present in his body. Moyang suddenly froze, his eyes widening in panic. Shit, he cursed. The sword immortal's secret record in his body. An ethereal, brilliant blue light erupted from Woonhwi's dying body. Moyang gasped, what is happening? Woonhwi found himself floating in a void, completely engulfed in swirling blue flames. He thought, bewildered, how could this be happening? Why are there blue flames surging from within me? It is not hot, this fire. Is it real? Sigh, this is all useless, though, if only there was a next life. The shadowy abyss shattered like broken glass. He thought yearningly, I would be able to live a less pathetic life than my current one. Suddenly, an icy splash of water jolted him awake. He gasped, ugh. Shivering uncontrollably, Woonhwi stuttered that it was cold. Above him, a man holding a bucket laughed uproariously. Ha ha ha, look at you. Disoriented, Woonhwi grabbed his stomach. He thought, my body, my stomach is fine and I do not have any burns on me. Or Yulang County's good for nothing, so Woonhwi, the man mocked. A chill ran down Woonhwi's spine. He thought, this voice. He looked up at two familiar young men. Are you up? One sneered. We the Hanan twin Swift Blade won the drinking bet this time. Woonhwi stared in disbelief. He thought, Song Jae Wabik, Song Woohyun, the notorious blood cult martial masters, the black-white twin demons. Woonhwi covered his mouth, staring at the screen in disbelief. He thought, why do they look so young? We got along pretty well around this time. But didn't I just burn to death? The man with the bucket frowned in confusion. What are you so surprised about? Woonhwi touched his cheek, entirely bewildered. He muttered, this is me when I was young. A heavy boot slammed into his back, sending him tumbling back. Rascal, are you not sober yet? Jae Wabik shouted. The twins loomed over him aggressively. Get a grip and pay up, you punk. Woonhwi clutched his stinging head. He groaned, ah, damn it, it hurts. He thought, wincing, it hurts so much even though I am in a dream. Realization hitting him, he shot up from the floor with startling speed. Grabbing the man by his collar, Woonhwi fiercely demanded, what day is it today? The man panicked, stuttering out. What nonsense are you talking about so suddenly? He grabbed Jae Wabik's collar desperately. I asked what day it was. That is not a hard question, is it? Jae Wabik stuttered. I will tell you after you let me go. The year of the dog, 9th day of the 9th month, other person replied. A wave of shock washed over Woonhwi. He thought, isn't that exactly 10 years ago from the day I died? Jae Wabik pointed at his own head, looking at Woonhwi like he was insane. What year did you think it was? Did you go crazy because you drank too much? Woonhwi burst into a fit of hysterical, joyous laughter, completely baffling the twins. Tears of relief in his eyes, he yanked Jae Wabik into a tight hug. Nice to meet you, Jae Wabik. I am really glad to meet you. Jae Wabik thrashed, yelling, hey, it is cold, let me go. But Woonhwi suddenly froze, his joy replaced by a creeping dread. He thought, wait a minute, exactly 10 years ago. 10 years ago on the year of the dog, 9th day of the 9th month. Outside the peaceful inn, shadowed figures gathered under the pale moonlight. An inn worker lazily stepped out. So many people are here despite it being so late, he mumbled. Hey, come and greet the customers. Before he could finish, a merciless blade sliced through his neck. Inside, a sleepy boy wandered toward the door. Yawn, coming, he said, before freezing in horror and letting out a blood-curdling shriek at the sight of the slaughter. Oblivious to the massacre outside, Woonhwi was tearing his room apart. Shit, where is it? He yelled. I should have tidied up the place earlier. One of the twins stepped forward and asked, hey, what are you doing? Don't tell me you don't have money or something. Woonhwi replied, get out of here quickly if you don't want to die. The twins watched him rummage like a madman. Seriously, you have just been acting cheekily now, one grumbled. You will only get your act together after a few punches, Woonhwi finally grasped a familiar, worn hilt. He grinned. He thought, I found it, the only belonging my mother left for me, So's short sword. He gripped it tightly. He thought, I regretted it a lot after I lost this in my previous life. I should have brought it along with me no matter how rushed I was. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the night, making him flinch. He covered his ears, wincing. He thought, what was that? I thought my eardrums were going to burst. Desperate cries for help echoed through the inn, startling the twins. Did that just come from outside? Jae Wabik asked nervously. Yeah, I think so, his brother replied. Woonhwi's expression darkened. He thought, that was too loud for it to have come from outside. He tightened his grip on his sword. He thought, wait, this is not the time for me to be thinking about this. Seeing as how there are screams, it has already started. The twins peeked toward the door, terrified. Who are those people? What should we do, brother? Woonhwi shoved past them with newfound authority. Stand aside, I am going to take a look. He carefully peered through the gaps in the wooden lattice. His eyes narrowed in pure hatred. He muttered, "Darn blood cult bastards." He watched the masked killers slaughtering the inn's guests. He thought, "The year of the dog, 9th day of the 9th month. This was the day I got kidnapped by the blood cult." The twins peeked over his shoulder. "Are they from the Green Forest?" one asked. "No," Woonhwi replied grimly. "They are from the blood cult." Woonhwi immediately turned to flee and said, "We don't have time. They will come in soon. Run away if you want to live." One of the brothers asked, "Are they really from the blood cult? Didn't they disappear after they lost to the Murim Alliance?" "Then go and ask them, are you perhaps from the blood cult?" Woonhwi yelled over his shoulder. "I am running away now, you guys do whatever you want." Left behind, the twins exchanged panic glances. "Shall we run too?" "Yeah." Woonhwi sprinted down the hallway. He thought, "I do not have time to look after them now, since they become martial masters after getting kidnapped anyway." Remembering old days, he thought, "Forget them, I just need to survive in this inn." But suddenly he stopped. A forgotten memory surfaced. He thought, "Come to think of it, I think there was another person with us back then." His eyes went wide. He thought, "Asung, so Woonhwi, you idiot. Asung was with us as well." He bolted back the way he came. He thought, "He is the only one from the So clan that took my side." He pictured the young boy peacefully sleeping. He thought, "He is like my real brother. I can't simply leave him behind." Woonhwi kicked open the boy's door. "Asung, get up," he roared. Asung jumped, stuttering frantically. I wasn't sleeping." Seeing Woonhwi, the boy clutched his chest in relief. "Phew, young master, it's just you. You scared the shit out of me." Woonhwi did not waste a second, grabbing the boy's wrist tightly. "Get up, Asung, we must get out of here." He dragged the confused boy into the corridor. "Young master, what are you doing suddenly?" Asung cried. "Run first, I will fill you in later," Woonhwi shouted. "Blood cult bastards have charged into this place," Woonhwi explained as they ran. "In a moment's time, they will charge into the inn itself." Asung asked nervously if the blood cult hadn't been defeated by the Murim Alliance. Woonhwi snapped, "Shut up, just believe me." They reached a crossroad. "All right," Asung said nervously, "but isn't the exit over there?" "We cannot go there," Woonhwi barked. From a vantage point, they saw the entire village swarming with torches. "The village has been surrounded," Woonhwi warned. "If we go from there, we will definitely get caught." Asung gulped. "Really? How about just going back to the room and hiding in the wardrobe then?" Woonhwi scowled. "That is an easy hiding spot to find." Woonhwi looked grave. "They are not here to find sacrifices. They are here to capture people like us." In his mind's eye, Woonhwi saw exactly how the raid would unfold. He thought, "They will probably look for all the places where someone could possibly hide." He thought, "And it is obvious places like wardrobes and wine vats where people will be caught in an instant." Asung panicked. "Will we die after getting caught like this then?" Woonhwi rebuked him. "Do not say something so ominous." Dodging past fleeing monks, Woonhwi yelled, "We need to hide in a place they would not think of looking at." They skidded to a halt in front of an unassuming wooden structure, a place that people wouldn't hide in even if they thought about it. They stood before the outhouse under the glowing moon. Inside, the smell was atrocious. Asung gagged, stuttering, "This is it, the place that you were talking about?" "Yeah, this is it," Woonhwi replied. "No one would imagine anyone hiding in here." Asung stared into the dark, foul depths of the latrine pit, trembling. "How could someone hide in a shithole? I can't do this," Asung cried out. "Do we have a choice right now?" Woonhwi shot back. Pushing the boy toward the pit, Woonhwi snapped, "I will let you hide in the only shithole here, so be thankful to me. If you like this so much, you go yourself." "Wait up, do not push me. Arg!" Asung screamed as he plummeted into the muck with a heavy splash. Woonhwi slammed the door shut, leaning against it. He thought, "Blood cult bastards probably will not think of searching this place. I was intending to hide myself here, but we do not have a choice now." Scanning the courtyard, he muttered, "I must find another place I can hide in before the blood cult bastards come." He spotted an open stable nearby. "Oh ho, I guess I will live." With a sharp smack, he sent the tethered horse galloping away into the night. A deep wooden trough filled with dry hay was left behind in the moonlight. Woonhwi buried himself deep under the scratchy hay. He thought, "This isn't too bad as an alternative hiding place. They will probably look for the horse that is no longer here instead of looking through the hay." His hand instinctively closed around the hilt of his mother's sword. He thought, "But if it is a first-rate martial artist, he would be able to sense me via chi sense. Just in case, I will hold onto my weapon." Suddenly, a sharp feminine shriek echoed directly into his mind. "Kayak, it's so dirty." Woonhwi jolted in the hay as the voice complained. "This darn brat, do not touch me with those wet hands of yours," he thought, terrified. "What is that sound?" The voice scolded him like a petulant child. "What else? I am asking you to wipe your hands, you darn brat. Are you looking down on a short sword that speaks?" Woonhwi gripped the blade, stuttering mentally. "What is this? Is this sword possessed by a ghost?" The voice fired back indignantly. "What did you say? A ghost?" "Ghost my ass," the entity yelled. "I am the So's short sword your mother left behind for you." Woonhwi was utterly baffled. He thought, wait a minute." The voice paused, sounding equally shocked. "Did you just reply? A human replied to me, a sword." Suddenly, a translucent, white-haired girl manifested, floating gracefully above him. "If you can hear my voice, then could you see this form of mine?" she asked. Woonwei stared at the tiny spirit. He thought, what on earth is this? Am I hallucinating? He thought this must be a ghost. The girl's eyes twitched in annoyance as she muttered, "Hey!" Hearing no response, she suddenly shrieked, "Brat!" She flew right into his face. "I know you can hear and see me. When we, the swords, get in contact with a human, we can read their minds." Woonwei panicked, thinking, "Arg, I really hear it speaking. I really see it." But his panic was cut short by the heavy sound of approaching boots. The spirit paused, looking up with a curious, "Oh." A sinister figure draped in robes approached the stable. Woonwei thought, desperate, "Wait a minute, keep quiet." The spirit asked innocently, What is happening? Are you acting like this because of that fellow?" She leaned in close, whispering loudly, "It is all right, you are probably the only one that can hear me. I have never spoken to a human before either." Woonwei thought furiously, "All right, I get you. Can you please stop talking? It is distracting me." Outside the hay trough, a masked blood cultist paused, his eyes scanning the darkness. The cultist's eyes darted sideways. He had noticed something amiss. He crouched down, brushing his fingers against the dirt, inspecting the tracks left behind. His icy gaze slowly turned directly toward the supposedly empty stable. Under the hay, Woonwei tightened his grip on the hilt of the short sword with a soft, metallic click. The imposing shadow of the masked killer loomed over Woonwei's hiding spot. Completely unfazed by the danger, the spirit leaned her face on her hands. "I am curious about something," she chirped. "Are you going to stab him if he finds you?" Woonwei held his breath, every muscle coiled tight. "What I am saying is," the spirit continued, "putting aside whether you are strong enough, do you have the guts to do so?" She mocked him gently. "Listen to your own heart now, you are totally scared." But as his heart pounded, Woonwei did not remember fear. He remembered the humiliating death from his past life. The masked cultist plunged his hand deep into the hay. Woonwei's eyes snapped open, blazing with unyielding determination. Exploding from the hay like a coiled viper, Woonwei drove his blade upward, straight into the cultist's neck. The killer's eyes bulged in shock, choking on a wet gasp as blood sprayed through the air. Woonwei gritted his teeth, his face splattered with the enemy's blood. He thought, a manic grin forming, "Am I scared? No, I am excited." His eyes burned with an intense, fiery resolve. He thought, just wait and see. Plunging the blade deeper, he thought fiercely, "Because I will do whatever it takes to survive in this lifetime." The white-haired spirit of the short sword floated gracefully nearby. She praised him. "Wow, that was pretty good." Looking down at the dead body in the hay, she added, "I thought you were just an idiot since you drink with the Song brothers every day. I'm seeing you in a different light now." She asked, "Where did you learn to do something like this?" Woonwei shouted, "Keep quiet, you are distracting me." Woonwei let out a heavy sigh. She crossed her arms and scoffed, "I was just trying to make conversation." He closed his eyes, deciding to just ignore her for now. The spirit frowned and said, "You brat, I can hear you." Woonwei looked up at the quiet night sky. The situation had become a lot worse. He stared down at the corpse he had just concealed. He knew the blood cult always moved in groups of 3 whenever they performed missions. He turned around to scan the area, well aware that the group members of the guy he killed would soon arrive. Woonwei bit his thumb anxiously. While he had already hidden the corpse, it was only a matter of time till they found it. If he got caught, he would be killed right away without any hesitation. He realized he needed to finish hiding the body and get out of there quickly. Suddenly, the spirit girl turned her head, humming in curiosity. Irritated, Woonwei snapped, "Hey, so Woonwei, what is it again? Can you please leave me alone so I can do what's needed?" She pointed over his shoulder and replied nonchalantly, "I mean, I want to do that too, but there's a blood cult warrior behind, you know? I just wanted to let you know." A violent chill ran down Woonwei's spine. He stuttered in disbelief, asking what she just said. "Did I interrupt you?" A deep voice echoed from the shadows. The masked assassin stood calmly. "It's all right, you can ignore me and continue." The assassin rested his hand casually on his sheathed sword. "It was pretty interesting for me. Are you going to stop?" Woonwei sweated profusely, wondering since when the man had been standing there. Then he noticed the assassin's waistband. His eyes widened in realization. It was a brown waistband. The man was an intermediate-grade warrior. Cursing his slow movements, Woonwei drew his short sword, knowing he had no chance against an intermediate-grade warrior right now. The spirit cheered eagerly. "Oh, are you going to fight? Shall I help? Show him the power of a short sword." Woonwei gritted his teeth, wishing she wouldn't distract him. With heavy, slow footsteps, the assassin approached Woonwei. "Seriously, you sure make things tough, huh?" He glanced at the dead body hidden in the hay. "While it doesn't look like you know martial arts, it was pretty impressive of you to kill a basic-grade warrior when it was an ambush." The assassin stroked his chin, evaluating his prey. "You're probably around basic intermediate grade." The assassin's eyes gleamed with cold amusement. "Here's my offer. I'll let you live if you surrender." Woonwei gripped his hilt tighter. If the assassin really wanted to kill him, he wouldn't have mentioned his estimated grade. He resolved to provoke the man instead. Woonhwi smirked and sneered. You want to capture me, but you're scared you might get killed like that guy over there if we fought, right? The assassin glared, asking what he just said. The spirit panicked, shouting at him, Are you crazy? Why would you provoke him? Woonhwi remained calm, keeping his hidden plan in mind. The assassin narrowed his eyes, deducing that Woonhwi wanted to appear like an arrogant brat to make him drop his guard. Suddenly, the masked assassin burst into loud, booming laughter. Wahahaha, you sure are a gutsy one, aren't you? He slowly drew his blade with a soft, sliding sound. It'd be a pity to kill you since you're pretty smart, too. Woonhwi clicked his tongue internally, realizing the man was far more cautious than he thought. The assassin's sword crackled with a chilling, bright blue aura. You seem like you want to avoid fighting no matter what. With a swift motion, the assassin swung his sword in a wide arc. Shall we see if you're as capable as... He finished his sentence mid-swing. Your mouth and brain. A fierce rush of wind pressured Woonhwi, but he concentrated hard. He might be a third-rate martial artist with a destroyed dantian. But he could clearly see the attack. He lunged forward fearlessly as the glowing sword swung down. With lightning speed, Assassin firmly grabbed the Woonhwi's wrist, stopping the deadly blade just inches away. The masked man remained completely unfazed and stated flatly, too slow. Woonhwi grunted as the man forcefully twisted his arm, easily breaking free from the grip. The assassin raised his hilt high into the air. It seems you have pretty good eyes, but your reflexes are slow. He adjusted his grip on his sword with a metallic clink, acknowledging that Woonhwi's attack just now was still pretty sharp. Slapping Woonhwi's hands away, he said, I'll turn an eye to you killing the basic grade warrior. Just follow me quietly. The Woonhwi launched a heavy upward strike, a massive wave of energy trailing the blade. Assassin realized he had absolutely no chance to block it. He thought to himself that his gamble worked. The assassin stumbled back, blood dripping down his face. He cursed Woonhwi, unable to believe that the boy managed a stab from such a close distance. A shallow, bleeding cut ran straight through the assassin's left eye. You brat, he roared furiously. The assassin immediately retaliated with a brutal, lightning-fast kick to Woonhwi's chest. The heavy impact sent Woonhwi sliding backward across the dirt, his feet digging trenches into the ground. Woonhwi knelt on the ground, struggling to catch his breath. He wondered if he was too optimistic. He didn't expect the man to dodge his counterattack so well. Woonhwi wiped his mouth with his sleeve, grimacing as sweat beaded on his forehead. Gripping his short sword tightly, Woonhwi knew he really had no choice but to fight now. The spirit girl hovered close, insisting she would help him because he couldn't win without her. Woonhwi desperately wondered what she could even do in this situation. He observed the assassin holding his bleeding face. Although the cut wasn't deep, it would be hard for him to use his left eye. Woonhwi decided to keep aiming for his left side. The masked man pressed his hand against his bleeding eye, cursing under his breath. He admitted he had wanted to settle this peacefully. With a sharp metallic ring, the assassin fully unsheathed his blade. Darn brat, looks like you're rushing to die, huh? A dark, ominous energy erupted from the man's body. He changed his mind. He needed to kill Woonhwi right there and then. A massive shadowy beast leaped toward him with a sharp whoosh. Woonhwi roared, I will rip you up into a million shreds. Woonhwi stuttered in horror, realizing what the technique was. A massive crimson sword aura slashed toward him, tearing violently through the air. Woonhwi recognized it as the blood cult's evil blood sword technique. The attacks were so blindingly fast he couldn't even read them. He grit his teeth while desperately parrying the strikes. He realized the bastard was intentionally avoiding his fatal spots. The assassin relentlessly bombarded Woonhwi with red slashes. Woonhwi knew the man was intending to toy with him until he was content before finally killing him. The assassin leaped forward, thrusting a powerful palm strike while shouting that it was too late for regrets and that Woonhwi would die today for sure. The explosive impact shattered against Woonhwi's defenses, violently pushing him further back. Woonhwi panicked, wondering if the man was mixing feints against a weakling like him. He debated if he should just attack blindly. Suddenly, the spirit girl yelled right into his ear, stab from the front. Following her command without hesitation, Woonhwi violently swung his short sword upward, perfectly intercepting the massive red blade. The assassin's eye widened in sheer, absolute disbelief. The heavy clash of their swords sent both of them skidding backwards across the dirt. Woonhwi planted his hand onto the ground to stop his momentum. He stared ahead, completely astonished that he actually blocked the attack. The spirit sat triumphantly on his shoulder. Gosh, did you block that attack? You'd have died just now if I didn't help. Woonhwi realized it was her voice guiding him. He asked if she was able to see the attack. She proudly declared that the moves of a third-rate weakling like him were obvious to her. She patted his head playfully. So what do you want to do now? Should I just keep quiet? Woonhwi forced an awkward smile. He apologized for ignoring her twice and humbly asked for her help. Stretching her arms, the spirit agreed, saying she couldn't let the first rare species that could talk to her after 47 years just die. Woonhwi was utterly bewildered by the term. He asked her if she had a way to attack the man, if she could read his movements. It was incredibly hard for Woonhwi to deal with him in his current state. Since the assassin had already experienced a counterattack once, Woonhwi knew the man probably wouldn't come close enough for another short sword strike. He knew the assassin had a cautious personality, but Woonhwi smirked, sharing a look with the spirit. If they got him to act rashly, they would have a chance. The assassin stood silently under the moonlight, gripping his sword defensively. He pondered how Woonhwi blocked his final attack. He wondered if the kid actually saw through his technique. He quickly dismissed the thought. A weakling like that could never see through it. He convinced himself the boy must have just gotten lucky. Woonhwi raised his guard, telling the spirit their plan. They would first block his attacks to drag out the fight. He just needed her to tell him exactly where the sword was going. The assassin lunged forward again, unleashing a devastating flurry of red slashes. Guided by the spirit's sharp callouts, right shoulder, a faint right rib, Woonhwi flawlessly deflected every single strike in a blinding display of sparks. The masked man started to panic, unable to comprehend how the boy was blocking all of them. To make matters worse, the thick blood from his wounded left eye dripped down constantly, severely obstructing his vision. The spirit instructed Woonhwi to quickly step into the enemy's blind spot so he would start to feel rushed. She explained rapidly that counterattacks launched in his blind spot would be much more accurate and faster. As the assassin swung wildly, cursing him as a rat bastard, the spirit predicted a horizontal slash and told Woonhwi to enter one step slower. "Right now," she yelled. The assassin stuttered, unable to believe his eyes as Woonhwi completely vanished from his line of sight. Suddenly, the masked man grinned wickedly. That was exactly what he wanted Woonhwi to think. Using the deceptive momentum, the assassin slammed his elbow straight into Woonhwi's exposed back. Woonhwi let out a painful groan as the heavy blow struck him. The massive impact sent Woonhwi plummeting down, crashing violently onto the hard ground below. Woonhwi knelt in a puddle, coughing and struggling to hold onto his sword. The assassin sneered from above, mocking Woonhwi by asking if his arm broke. He stomped his foot onto the ground, creating a shockwave. Trying to use his blind spot was smart, but Woonhwi was still just a third-rate martial artist in his eyes. The assassin leapt high into the air, bringing his glowing blue sword down for the killing blow while screaming for him to go to hell. Woonhwi looked up, a fierce, calculating glint in his eye. Right now. In one explosive, fluid motion, Woonhwi swung his blade upwards, slicing through the air with intense precision. The masked man was caught completely off guard, stuttering in absolute shock as the blade approached. With a sharp slicing sound, Woonhwi's blade tore right through the assassin's neck, spraying crimson blood into the night sky. Woonhwi collapsed onto his back, blood splattered across his face, but he rejoiced internally that his final attack had landed perfectly. The spirit floated over his exhausted body, asking if he was all right and if he could get up. He breathlessly confirmed that he was okay. Looking at the corpse, the spirit complimented his impressive acting, admitting she thought he had really broken his arm. Woonhwi replied that the plan wouldn't have worked if the assassin fought more cautiously. She cheerfully praised his final spinning slash. Woonhwi smiled softly, warmly thanking So's short sword for her invaluable help. She suddenly became incredibly flustered. Woonhwi raised an eyebrow, asking why she was acting so flustered. She stuttered, insisting she wasn't flustered, but just a little surprised. She then ordered him to wipe the blood off the sword properly if he was so thankful. Woonhwi chuckled, teasingly asking if she was angry. She flatly denied it and nagged him to clean off the rust too, scolding him for neglecting his mother's keepsake. Suddenly, the spirit's expression dropped in sheer terror. She screamed at Woonhwi to lower his head. Woonhwi looked back in sheer confusion. A tremendous force slammed into his face before he could even process the warning. A glowing red fist delivered a devastating punch, sending Woonhwi flying through the air as blood violently sprayed from his mouth. A massive, muscular man with long, dark hair and a terrifying aura stepped forward, crushing the ground beneath him. The man scoffed behind his mask, muttering that this was ridiculous. He had only come to check quickly since 2 of his men were missing. He stomped heavily towards Woonhwi, enraged that his men had seriously lost to some young kid. Woonhwi lay motionless in a growing pool of his own blood, his vision fading entirely as the giant man approached. A jade plaque caught the light with a soft clink. A voice observed, "Yeong City, Yuleng County's So Woonhwi. Isn't that Yeong So clan?" Gazing down at him, a masked figure noted, "You are quite a famous playboy within the Henan province." Snot and tears streaming down his bruised face, Woonhwi trembled as the cold voice mocked him. "Yuleng County's good for nothing. After you lost your danchin from experienced chi deviation, your family gave up on you." A subordinate suggested to the group, "Since he is the kid of an orthodox sect clan, shall we bring him back to raise him as a spy?" The captain's eyes narrowed coldly. "No, there is no need to do that for someone who has lost his danchin." Resting his chin on his hand with utter boredom, the captain sighed. "It is obvious he will die during the basic training. Besides, look at that pathetic state of his." A puddle formed beneath the terrified captive. The captain sneered. He might be from a renowned clan, but he peed in his pants out of fear. What use would we have for someone like that? Won Wei cried pathetically as the merciless verdict was delivered. I will not even be able to use him with the low-grade commodities, the captain concluded, leaving Won Wei frozen in pure shock. Desperation took over. Prostrating himself in the dirt, Won Wei begged, "Please do not kill me, great warrior. I will be a spy or whatever you want me to be." Sniffling miserably, Won Wei clasped his hands together and pleaded, "Please spare me." Won Wei knelt in the cold grass, lost in grim memories. He thought, that was how I begged as I cried. I struggled desperately to avoid being caught, but here I am again. Glancing down at his tightly bound hands, he thought, no, it is not the same, I guess, since now both my hands are tied. Hey, So's short sword, how long was I out for? He looked over his shoulder, confused by the silence. He thought, So's short sword, why are you not answering? Seeing a masked man inspecting his worn blade, Won Wei realized, is it because I am not holding the short sword? It seems I need to be holding the sword in order to talk with it. Surrounded by the deadly cultists, Won Wei listened as the captain remarked, for someone who does not even have a dantian, that was impressive. The masked man pointed the blade at him. I cannot believe you took down 2 of my subordinates with this old short sword. I guess you are still from a martial clan despite losing your dantian, huh? A nervous smile crept onto Won Wei's face as he thought, his impression of me is higher than my previous life. The blood cult has strong utilitarian views, so they will. Panic suddenly washed over him. Probably bring me along, right? Pull yourself together, so Won Wei, you will get dragged away in the end again. Taking a deep breath, he tried to calm his racing mind. No, I need to think about this positively. I need to first survive and then find a chance to escape. The captain stared down with cold eyes, deciding his fate. We will take care of him here. Won Wei blinked in total shock. A subordinate chimed in. Pardon, Captain, he is a middle-grade commodity at this level. If we groom him well, we could probably use him as a spy. The captain retorted. But there are tons of normal guys with their dantians still intact that we could use as spies instead of him. The subordinate drew his glowing blade with a sharp hiss. There is no real need for us to use a defect, do we? Just kill him. Won Wei cursed inwardly. Damn it, the conclusion is the same even though his impression of me is better. Bowing his head in pure submission, Won Wei thought, I do not have a choice then, I will just beg like I did in my previous life. Out loud, he pleaded, please spare me, great warrior, I will do whatever you ask me to do. The captain smiled a nasty, mocking grin. Oh, look at him. You have been watching the situation play out before begging. Stop with your petty tricks and pay the price for killing my subordinates. The executioner swung the blade down with deadly force. Won Wei gritted his teeth, thinking, damn it, the situation has gotten even more complicated than my previous life. His eyes darted around desperately as time seemed to slow down. Is there not anything I can do? Surrounded by imposing enemies, he frantically searched for a way out. He thought, think so, Won Wei, I need to at least buy some time. A ferocious determination filled his gaze as the blade descended. I cannot just die quicker than I did after getting a second chance at life. Breaking the heavy tension, Won Wei suddenly threw his head back and burst into chaotic laughter. Ahahaha. The executioner paused, bewildered. The captain smirked. It is such a nice sight to see the eyes of one who desperately wants to live. Why not try begging like a dog instead? Won Wei's laughter died down as a specific detail caught his eye. He stared in disbelief, thinking, that sword. The captain continued taunting. Who knows, I might keep you as my pet dog. But Won Wei was focused entirely on the white leather tassel hanging from a newcomer's hilt. Recognition hit him like a physical blow. He thought, I think I have seen that before. A memory flashed of a terrifying figure shrouded in darkness. Seeing as how there is white leather at the end of the sword, it is definitely that person that I know. Without hesitation, Won Wei slammed his head against the ground in deep reverence, shouting, all submit to the blood demon, may blood rule the world. He declared loudly for everyone to hear, I pay my respects to the fourth blood star. Whispers erupted among the confused cultists. What is he going on about? Someone asked. Another gasped, 4 blood stars, one of them is here in this place. A man with long purple hair stepped from the shadows, his presence overwhelming. Why are you guys so noisy? There is no way that the fourth blood star would be in a place like this. The captain froze, trembling as sheer terror overtook him. The captain instantly dropped to his knees in a panic, stuttering a hasty vow of respect to the fourth blood star. Won Wei kept his face pressed to the dirt, analyzing the situation. There are 11 executives that lead the blood cult, the 4 supremes and the 7 blood stars. Sneaking a sly glance, he thought, I have never met him before in my previous life. A purple-haired man casually walked through the kneeling cultists. But there were rumors that blood stars would disguise themselves, Won Wei recalled. They would dress as basic-grade warriors to check on their subordinates. To think that rumor was real. The fourth blood star commanded smoothly, raise your head. Won Wei slowly looked up, his heart pounding in his chest. The blood star pulled down his mask, revealing an amused smile. How interesting. No one has ever discovered my identity when I was out on inspections. Blood cult, 4th blood star, Do Jang-ho. Do Jang-ho stared down with piercing eyes. How did you realize who I am despite not being in our cult? Won Wei answered steadily, by your sword. Do Jang-ho tilted his head, intrigued. My sword. There is jewelry along with leather on the sword that you are wearing, Won Wei explained. I know that it is made from a precious horse, Bikyang, symbolizing it waiting for you. Do Jang-ho's smile widened menacingly in the shadows. Ho. Leaning closer, the blood star murmured, you are observant, but how did you know that, even though you are not in our cult? Cold sweat trickled down Won Wei's cheek. He is suspicious of me, he thought. Well, it would be weirder if he was not suspicious of me in this situation. Won Wei puffed out his chest and spoke with firm conviction. The truth is because I have the blood of the blood cult flowing within me. Internally, he cheered. I am confident of lying and acting my way through. The captain whipped his head around, stuttering in pure disbelief, demanding to know what he had just said. Shocked murmurs rippled through the ranks. A bloodline of the blood cult is within the Yeong So clan? But how? Do Jang-ho remained completely silent, his cold eyes unreadable. Won Wei began spinning his masterful tale. My maternal grandfather participated in the Orthodox-Unorthodox Great War as the Blood Wolf Squad's basic grade warrior. He dropped out of the war as he suffered a grave injury. He then started to look for a place to settle down with his only family, my mother. That was how my maternal grandfather settled down in Yuleng County. He went through a lot and managed to find a place to stay while avoiding the war. However, his internal injuries did not recover easily. My mother tried to earn money for the increasing medicine money, so she got into Yeong So clan and worked there as a servant. There she met my father and gave birth to me. Won Wei let the dramatic silence hang before repeating, your maternal grandfather was in the Blood Wolf Squad. Do Jang-ho's steady gaze did not waver. Interesting, Do Jang-ho finally replied, keep talking. Won Wei swallowed hard. Is this not enough? He thought. Gathering his wits, he added, when I was young, I went through tough training that my maternal grandfather gave me. Putting on a pained expression, he added, he always expected more from me. Watching the courtyard, Won Wei recalled his past, thinking, every time I grumbled because the training was too tough for me at that age, my grandfather would talk about the Blood Wolf Squad captain, No Jamin, and his son, No Sangu. Captain No's son went through all the training of the Blood Wolf Squad at your age, was what he would say. The cultists exchanged uneasy glances. No Jamin and No Sangu. How does that kid know the name of the former Blood Wolf Squad captain and the current Blood Wolf Squad captain? Won Wei lowered his eyes sorrowfully. My grandfather always said that the blood cult would find us eventually. 5 years ago on his sickbed, even then he talked about how he missed the blood cult. Do Jang-ho pondered the elaborate story, letting out a soft, thoughtful hum. I see, Do Jang-ho nodded slowly. In that case, how you were able to kill 2 of our cult members with a destroyed Danshin would make sense. But before he could finish, the captain leaped forward, shouting, Ha, do not be ridiculous. The angry captain pointed an accusing finger. Oh, Blood Star, do not listen to that brat. Do Jang-ho shifted his gaze to the screaming captain. You. A suffocating, crimson aura suddenly exploded from the Blood Star. Did I say you could interrupt me? The pressure was immense. I guess someone of your level would gain the guts to interrupt when a Blood Star is talking, huh? The terrified captain could only widen his eyes. Falling to his knees in abject terror, the captain stuttered a frantic apology and begged for forgiveness. Won Wei watched in sheer awe. The captain is scared at each of the Blood Star's words and glare, so this is the power that a Blood Star holds. The menacing aura vanished as quickly as it appeared. Do Jang-ho turned back with a calm smile. Sorry for the disturbance. His sharp eyes locked onto Won Wei again. There is something that is weird, while it might be self-defense for you to injure our cult members. Why did you beg for your life instead of revealing your identity to that captain? Won Wei's breath caught in his throat. Won Wei quickly bowed deeply, stuttering out an excuse about being scared of the punishment for killing 2 cult members, and hurriedly apologized. Sweating profusely, Won Wei thought, he is so sharp. I had mixed truths and lies nicely, but he was not swayed by it and managed to catch on to what was weird. Do Jang-ho reached out a hand towards him, letting out a long sigh. Suddenly, the Blood Star threw his head back and erupted into roaring laughter. Wiping a tear of mirth from his eye, Do Jang-ho chuckled. It seems my joke went too far. Yeah, I guess you might have thought of it that way. Since your grandfather is one of us, that would make you our brother too, would it not? Won Wei let out a massive internal sigh of relief, realizing he was safe. Do Jang-ho smiled warmly at the night sky. We almost lost a precious descendant of our cult that we lost previously. How about succeeding your grandfather's will and joining us? Won Wei kept his head bowed to hide his expression. That would be an honor, 4th Blood Star. I am sure my grandfather would be pleased as well. Exhausted from the mental gymnastics, Won Wei lamented inwardly. Well, I managed to survive somehow. What was the point of regressing, though? In the end, I still volunteered to join the blood cult. The thick rope binding his hands loosened with a soft sliding sound. A chorus of devoted voices echoed through the clearing. All submit to the blood demon. May blood rule the world. A masked figure approached the bowing members, declaring coldly, "Welcome back to our cult." Kneeling low, Woonhwi gritted his teeth. He thought, "I've survived for now, but I'm headed helplessly to the blood cult again." Standing imposingly over him, the masked man murmured, "Oh, right." The fourth blood star glanced back over his shoulder. "It's fate for us to find a descendant of our cult," he announced. "Thus, I shall grant you one wish." A bead of sweat rolled down Woonhwi's cheek. He thought frantically, "What's happening? Why would a blood star grant a mere kid a wish? I think he's testing me to see how I'd reply." Keeping his head bowed, Woonhwi plotted his next move. He thought, "Since it's hard for me to determine his intentions, I'll have to answer carefully." Speaking up, he requested, "In that case, I'd like to take back the short sword. It's my mother's keepsake for me." The blood star's visible eye narrowed sharply. "Keepsake. Hand it over," the blood star demanded. The bulky captain hesitated. He stammered that it was madness, reminding the fourth blood star of what the boy had just done with that short sword. Raising an open palm, the blood star warned, "I won't say it again, Captain." Inspecting the blade in the moonlight, the blood star commented, "While it's a little old, it's a good short sword." He gripped the blade firmly, his fingers digging into the steel with a tense creak. With a sharp crack, the blade's tip shattered. "It needs to pay the price for spilling the blood of our members," the blood star stated coldly. Pinching the broken shard between his fingers, he added ominously, "I hope that you'll be more careful." He flicked his wrist. The shard buried itself into the dirt right before Woonhwi with a sharp hiss. "The next time you wield this sword." Woonhwi stared at the vibrating steel, a chill running down his spine. He thought, "I can't believe there were reverberations even though he simply threw the sword with just his fingers. He's so horrifyingly strong. He probably did it to warn me." As the terrifying man walked away, Woonhwi exhaled softly. He thought, "It doesn't look like he's suspicious anymore. I guess I've survived for now." Another cultist barked at him. "Oi, get up. How long are you intending to sit there?" Woonhwi scrambled up, politely replying, "Yes, sir. I'll just pick up the sword quickly." As soon as Woonhwi grasped the hilt with a heavy clank, a piercing shriek echoed in his mind. The spirit girl manifested, screaming, "My hair! How could I be fine? What are you going to do about this?" Woonhwi awkwardly realized the broken tip was essentially her hair. Whispering, he tried to calm the sword spirit, promising to fix her up at a blacksmith later on. Fuming with rage, the tiny spirit ranted, "Ugh, if only I could move by myself, I'd shave that jerk's head bald." Woonhwi muttered in agreement, "Yeah, I'd love to see that too." The spirit floated closer, eyeing him suspiciously. "Oh, but are you really from the blood cult? Why didn't I know that?" Woonhwi pondered for a moment. He thought, "That's not exactly a lie, but it's not exactly true either. I think it's all right for me to tell you the whole truth." The spirit tilted her head, asking what he was talking about. The spirit stammered, asking what was happening and why he was suddenly being so serious. Staring ahead with deadpan sincerity, Woonhwi asked, "Would you believe me if I told you that I came back from 10 years in the future?" The spirit blinked, utterly bewildered. She thought, "Does he have a screw loose?" Elsewhere, the blood star stood quietly in the courtyard, holding a dark talisman. Handing it over, he ordered, "Send someone to the Yulang County and instruct them to investigate into So Woonhwi's maternal side." The masked subordinate looked up surprised. "You felt it too." The blood star's eyes darkened. "Yeah, it doesn't matter if what he said was true or not." He recalled Woonhwi's cautious demeanor. He was observing all my movements and tried to find out what my intentions were as if he was a trained spy. "No matter which side he's on, he knows too much about the blood cult," the blood star commanded. "Make sure to pay attention to him." The subordinate bowed deeply, replying, "Yes, sir." Later that night, sitting inside a moving wooden carriage, the spirit floated in the dark. I'll summarize what I understand," she began. She ticked off the points on her tiny fingers. "You lived as a blood cult spy for 10 years, and then woke up here after you were killed unfairly, right?" Nodding to herself, she continued, "Not only did you return to 10 years ago, I'm able to talk to you after I came back here." Woonhwi smirked. "No wonder you're not as stupid as the So Woonhwi that I knew." He inwardly grumbled, "Stupid. Was that what you thought of me?" The spirit stretched gracefully. "By the way, you're so unlucky. After going through all of that, you finally managed to come back 10 years ago but ended up being kidnapped by the blood cult again." She leaned in, her gaze sharpening. "In the first place, wouldn't it have been easier if you just abandoned Asong?" Woonhwi's expression hardened. "I can't do that." A bittersweet memory flashed through his mind. He recalled Asong's bright smile. "He was the only one who treated me like a human in my previous life." And in my previous life, Woonhwi's internal voice trailed off, remembering the boy's tragic, tear-streaked face. He remembered Asong throwing himself into a bloody strike to save him. He thought, "Asong lost his life while protecting me today. While I was in the blood cult, I always felt indebted to him. I simply repaid that debt today." Shaking away the grief, Woonhwi resolved himself. He thought, "It's all in the past. I need to worry about my own life now." The spirit hummed softly. Well, it seems you're still being a pushover despite having been used for 10 years, huh? Woonwi stammered defensively, asking if she really just called him a pushover. The spirit floated right up to his face. Hey, so Woonwi, information is a form of weapon. You have the ultimate weapon in your grasp. Since you were a spy, don't you know that the best? Her eyes sparkled with fierce determination. You now know all the misfortunes that will fall upon you. You can avoid them, and could also turn them into something that benefits you, can't you? Woonwi tilted his head back, staring into the dark roof of the carriage. A slow smile crept onto his face. He thought, that's true. Why would I try to simply survive when I've got 10 years' worth of information? Feeling a surge of motivation, Woonwi declared, it's as you've said, I ought to make full use of this chance that I've been given. The spirit cheered enthusiastically. Yeah, you can't just keep living like a loser. Woonwi quickly shushed her. But lower your voice, you idiot. People probably think you're talking to yourself. The spirit giggled nervously. Oops, I got a little too excited in the moment. Looking down at his hands, Woonwi thought, yeah, there'll be tons of opportunities from now on. I might actually be able to learn martial arts again. The spirit hovered nearby, asking, someone with a destroyed Danshin learning martial arts, how would you do that? Woonwi immediately dismissed the idea, thinking, no, since this information isn't certain. He concluded his thought, even if it's correct, it's something that will happen much later, so let's ignore it for now. The spirit pouted, oh, come on, that's so boring. Woonwi pointed a finger at her. You know, if you're able to accumulate internal energy again, do you want me to teach you martial arts? Startled, Woonwi stared at the tiny ghost. He thought incredulously, you want to teach me martial arts, you? Pointing proudly to herself, she beamed. Yeah, me. It's a short sword technique that only my former master knows how to use. I'm probably the only one who knows it now. Woonwi let out a dry chuckle. He thought, you want me to learn martial arts from a sword? It's all right. No such thing will happen. Furious at his dismissal, the spirit yelled, hey, haven't you heard of the proverb that goes the sparrow near a school sings the primer? I probably know way more than you do. Sensing an incoming headache, Woonwi sighed. All right, I hear you. Suddenly, an intense spark of blue light crackled around his hand. He jolted as ethereal blue energy began wrapping around his body. Woonwi gasped loudly, asking in a panic what was happening and where the blue flames were coming from. In a flash of light, his consciousness was forcefully pulled into an endless, starry cosmos. Floating bare-chested in the void, Woonwi looked around wildly. Where am I? What's going on? A majestic, booming voice echoed through the stars. Now that you've obtained a sword mind, your future will be opened. Woonwi's eyes widened. He thought, this isn't So's short sword's voice, though. A massive, glowing silhouette materialized before a swirling nebula. Woonwi breathed out in awe. That's... The cosmic vision shattered. Back in the carriage, Woonwi grabbed his wrist, wincing from a blinding flash. What the hell is happening? Gasp, he breathed heavily, the blue glow slowly fading from his knuckles. Staring at his glowing hand in disbelief, Woonwi stuttered, I am back. What was that just now? He paused, his expression hardening. No, more importantly. Unaware of his mental journey, the spirit was throwing a tantrum. Hey, so Woonwi, where did your mind wander off to? I put in so much effort into telling you the steps. Woonwi eagerly stammered, asking if she could see his hand. Floating closer, the spirit squinted at his palm. What's there? Woonwi urged her. Look carefully. There are dots that seem to form the Big Dipper on the back of my hand. She scoffed indignantly. Big Dipper, my foot. I only see that useless hand of yours. Did you feel sleepy while listening to a short sword teaching you martial arts? Forget it, I won't say anything anymore. Don't look for me until we're there. With a soft pop, she vanished. Staring at the empty air, Woonwi thought, am I the only one that can see this? Leaning back in the carriage, Woonwi clutched his sword. A nearby captive quietly asked if he would be all right, adding that it would take 15 days before they arrived. Woonwi jolted with a sharp gasp. The captive quickly raised his tied hands defensively. Wait I'm just saying I'm that tired. Woonwi relaxed his shoulders, sighing, all right, all right. Laying back against the straw, Woonwi lifted his glowing hand to the shadows. He thought, what was that just now, though? Seeing as how they were the same blue flames I saw before I returned back to the past. The faint dots forming the Big Dipper constellation hummed with power. A confident smirk crossed his face as he thought, I'm pretty sure it's related to the sword Immortal's secret records. Several wooden carriages, guarded by black-clad men, rolled into a secluded, rocky clearing. Inside a dim carriage, Woonwi lay bound on a bed of straw. He stared at his hand, thinking in frustration, how do I make it come out again? The carriage suddenly halted with a soft sliding sound. Woonwi's eyes widened in realization as he thought. The carriage stopped. With a heavy creak, the wooden door swung open, revealing the bound captives sitting in the hay. A shadowy guard loomed in the doorway, shouting, wake up, you brats. The guard glared down from the cart, barking, how long are you gonna lay around enjoying your lives? Drawing his sword, the guard threatened them to get on their feet and get out, warning that any funny business would get them killed on the spot. Outside, a massive walled camp sprawled before them. Move faster, guards yelled as the captives were herded to gather in the front. A small, pale spirit girl floated beside Woonhwi, yawning. It's so noisy, where is this place? She asked. Woonhwi thought grimly, Six Blood Valley. They stood before an imposing stone platform. Woonhwi thought, one of the blood cult's bases, it's a place where they train and educate the kids they kidnap to become blood cult warriors. He scoffed internally. Educate my ass? So all of these kids were kidnapped. Woonhwi's gaze locked onto a stern-looking man on the platform. He thought, and the man standing on the platform is the overseer of training within the Six Blood Valley, the Destruction Blood Squad Captain Gu Sang-woong. Someone approached Woonhwi from behind. Oi, Yuleng County's good for nothing, a voice called out. A familiar shoulder bumped into him with a soft thud. Woonhwi turned, asking, who? Two burly men stood there with wide grins. You acted like you knew it all back at the inn, yet you still got caught in the end, huh? One mocked. Woonhwi thought in surprise, Song Jae-wabik and Song Woo-hyun. Woonhwi smiled faintly. I thought you guys got away since I never saw you, he thought to himself, glad to see the black-white twin demons reunited. Out loud, he added, but I guess I'm glad to see someone familiar here. Rubbing the back of his head, Woonhwi replied, it's a little complicated. Song Jae-wabik leaned in, asking him to tell them about it. Suddenly, the overseer's voice boomed across the yard, silencing the crowd. Everyone, stop talking and pay attention. Pointing a thumb behind him, Gu Sang-woong announced, Do you see that platform behind me? I'll count to 5 starting now. Run over there, he commanded. The captives murmured in confusion. Song Jae-wabik complained, if they want us to run, they should untie us at least. Who would do that in such a situation? Suddenly, Woonhwi darted forward, leaving them wondering what the good-for-nothing was doing. Looking back with intense eyes, Woonhwi warned them, What are you doing? You are really going to run? You must follow whatever I do if you don't want to die. The Song brothers stared at him in utter bewilderment. What did you just say? Without another word, Woonhwi sprinted up the stone steps. Hey, so Woonhwi, what the hell do you mean? They yelled after him. Seeing him run, the brothers chased after him. Seriously, at least explain what's going on, they demanded. A masked guard standing nearby suddenly reached for his blade with a sharp hiss. As the guard drew his sword, panic set in. Damn it, what are we doing here? Let's just run for now, one of the captives stammered in fear. With a horrifying splash of blood, a captive was brutally slashed across the chest. A woman screamed in terror. Blood splattered across the woman's face as she let out a piercing shriek. Chaos erupted in the yard as guards mercilessly cut down anyone who hesitated. Hearing the screams, the Song brothers sprinted desperately up the stairs, cursing the crazy situation. Catching up to Woonhwi, Jae-wabik realized the truth. It's happening again. Things are happening like that punk Woonhwi has said it would. Panting heavily, the brothers arrived to see Woonhwi calmly kneeling. Damn it! Hey, Song Woo-hyun, we must follow whatever he does, Jae-wabik said. Woo-hyun agreed, declaring they must follow him no matter what. Overlooking the kneeling captives, Gu Sang-woong noted with mild surprise, well, this has never happened before. I can't believe there are guys who know to kneel before they are even taught, Gu Sang-woong remarked. His subordinate replied, I guess that's the kid that Captain O reported. Oh yeah, someone did report something like that, Gu Sang-woong recalled, looking down at Woonhwi. He insisted that he's a descendant that's inherited the blood of our cult member, right? The spirit girl floated beside Woonhwi, clearly impressed. Wow, you're doing everything without any instructions. You're like a full-fledged blood cult member, Woonhwi thought. Since I'm a descendant of one, I ought to do this much to avoid any suspicions. Glancing back at the bloody yard, Woonhwi thought, and if I don't do this, they'll probably beat me up and use me as an example to show the rest. The spirit girl agreed. Yeah, that's definitely not good. A tense silence settled over the bloody courtyard. Gu Sang-woong commanded the crowd from the platform, Everyone, attention. Raising his hand theatrically, he declared, Be glad, you all have been chosen. The will of the great blood demon has led you to the blood cult faithfully. Shock rippled through the survivors. They stammered in disbelief, asking if this was really the blood cult. A bruised and angry captive suddenly stood up, shouting, Stop bullshitting. How is this being chosen when all you guys do is kill and kidnap people? Woonhwi kept his head down as the spirit girl whispered, He's right. Is it okay for him to act like that, though? Woonhwi thought ominously. Of course, he'll be made an example of. The spirit girl looked alarmed. Ooh, made an example of, do you mean? Woonhwi simply thought, yeah. Without hesitation, a guard drew his sword. The defiant captive warned the Murim Alliance would find out, but with a swift, brutal strike, his head was severed. Woonhwi thought, but the blood cult has no qualms with killing weaklings. The spirit girl shivered. My goodness, how ruthless. They just kill them despite having gone through so much trouble to bring them here, Woonhwi explained internally. They'd instill fear and enforce loyalty. It's actually quite effective. The executioner wiped the blood from his face and glared at the terrified crowd. Talk like he did if you want to become like him. Floating back, the spirit girl asked, How scary. How did you survive this in your previous life? Woonhwi closed his eyes, thinking, While I'm not proud of it, I submitted to them like a dog and survived 10 years. Gu Sangwoo stepped forward. We'll now begin the cult admission ceremony. A malicious grin spread across his face as he added, before we start, yeah. He pointed directly at Woonwi. Over there, the one that's all the way at the front. Yeah, you. Do you know what's inside this box? Kneeling calmly, Woonwi answered without hesitation. The blood parasite. Explain what a blood parasite is to your comrades behind you, Gu Sangwoo demanded. Woonwi's eyes were cold and unblinking. A blood parasite. A writhing mass of horrific, spiked red leeches filled the wooden box. Woonwi continued. Is a type of poisonous insect that would take its spot deep within one's chest and make sure that new cult members won't waver in their loyalty to the cult. Looking back at the pale captives, Woonwi added, you must eat the blood cult's life pill every 24 hours, and if you don't do this, then the blood parasite will rampage within your chest. Song Jae-wabik stared at him, absolutely horrified. He stuttered Woonwi's name, asking how he knew all this. Gu Sangwoo smiled in satisfaction. That was perfect. You're truly a faithful descendant of our cult. The Song brothers recoiled as if stung. Descendant! You bastard, you were the blood cult's spy? They shouted in betrayal. The spirit girl giggled. Wow, you got caught. You were really a blood cult spy in your previous life, and you'll soon become a blood cult member too, right? Woonwi thought in annoyance. Stop teasing me. I honestly didn't know how I was going to deal with this situation. Plunging his hand into the squirming box, Gu Sangwoo declared, all right, here's my offer. He pulled out a wriggling, fleshy parasite. I'll give you the chance to show your loyalty to our cult and that you're a descendant of our cult. You'll have the honor of receiving the blood parasite before your comrades. Woonwi thought desperately, I have no way to avoid consuming it, because they'll definitely kill me if I don't eat it. But I never thought they'd pay so much attention to me, unlike my previous life. Clenching his fist, he resolved, there's nothing much I can do now. I must survive even if it means I have to swallow the blood parasite. Outwardly, he bowed and shouted, I'm grateful that I'll be given that honor first. Kneeling humbly before the smirking overseer, Woonwi quickly added, can we please have some water to swallow it down? A masked subordinate whispered to his captain, HMPH, it looks like Captain Gu Sangwoo has taken a liking to that brat. It's not like that kid's confirmed to be a true blood cult member yet. With a painful gulp, Woonwi swallowed the disgusting creature. He thought, just you wait, so Woonwi. He fell to one knee, performing the cult's salute. All submit to the blood demon, may blood rule the world. Thank you for giving me this chance. Gu Sangwoo praised him. That's indeed a spirit that's befitting of a descendant that inherited our cult's blood. Presenting the box of writhing leeches to the rest, Gu Sangwoo ordered, all of you have seen what you need to do, right? Starting from the front, each of you will come up and receive the blood parasite. As Woonwi walked away, clutching his chest, the spirit girl grimaced. You lived for 10 years with that blood parasite in your chest in your previous life, right? That's disgusting. Woonwi thought. Yeah, I'm back to this disgusting feeling in just 15 days. Suddenly, Woonwi collapsed, groaning in sheer agony. The spirit girl panicked, crying out, Woonwi, what's wrong? He desperately clawed at his chest as dark veins bulged beneath his skin. He stammered internally that his chest hurt so much, realizing it felt like everything was on fire. Sweat poured down his face. Your chest? What's happening suddenly? The spirit girl asked. Woonwi replied in his mind, I don't know. While the pain feels different, the location is definitely where the blood parasite is. He convulsed on the ground. He thought frantically. The blood parasite wouldn't rampage without a reason, though, so why did it? Captain O watched the boys suffering with cold, calculating eyes. Captain O, did that fellow do something? A guard asked. As Woonwi violently coughed up blood, Gu Sangwoo frowned. What's the problem? A boot heavily stepped near Woonwi's head. It seems the blood parasite within your chest is rampaging, huh? Captain O smirked cruelly beneath his mask. For someone who says that he's a descendant of our cult, to be in so much pain from receiving the blood parasite in such a sacred ceremony, hoo-hoo-hoo. Grasping his chest in torment, blood spilling from his mouth, Woonwi glared upwards with feral intensity. He thought with pure hatred, this bastard! What the hell did he do to the blood parasite that's in me? From the steps above, another officer called out to ask if the trainee was fine. Captain O replied calmly, he's all right, Captain. Woonwi clutched his head in agony as a voice noted that the blood parasite was provoked when he swallowed it. Woonwi thought in frustration, why would I do that when it's not even my first time swallowing it? Captain O placed a heavy hand on Woonwi's shoulder, ordering him to turn his back so he could use his chi to calm the parasite down. Shocked, Woonwi asked why he would do such a thing. Irritated, O snapped, do you think I want to do this? The other trainees are being kept waiting because of you. Turn your back right now. Woonwi felt a strange sensation in his gut. He thought, what was it not done by Captain O? The pain is traveling downwards, it's like. O firmly grabbed the struggling trainee. Woonwi desperately told him to wait and that he was all right now, begging him to stop. O barked, what nonsense is that? Look in front, trainee. You might suffer internal injuries if this isn't done right. Red energy gathered in O's hand as he ordered Woonwi to tighten his abdomen. Panic set in as Woonhwi felt the impending disaster, thinking, no, this pain. His eyes went wide with realization. He thought, I'm sure of it, it's definitely that, I need to stop him. He pleaded frantically for the captain to stop. With a loud and thunderous blast, Woonhwi released a massive fart directly into Captain O's face. A suffocating cloud of gas hung heavily in the air, leaving Captain O utterly stunned into a dark, disgusted silence. Blushing furiously and unable to meet his gaze, Woonhwi nervously pointed out that he had tried to warn him. That he was perfectly fine, he added weakly. The little ghost girl burst into hysterical laughter, clutching her stomach as tears formed in her eyes. How on earth did you fart in that situation? She howled. Woonhwi sighed internally, wondering how long she was going to keep teasing him. She wiped a tear away, claiming he was the most entertaining thing since she arrived. Exasperated, Woonhwi thought, all right, stop it already. I was already feeling very troubled. Floating closer, she giggled and asked if he was troubled by the farting incident. Woonhwi grimaced, clutching his chest. Sigh, not about that, it's about the blood parasite. He felt his body closely, realizing the pain was completely gone now. The alien feeling in his chest had vanished, leaving him feeling much better. Suddenly, a harsh voice interrupted. Hey, blood cult spy, where are we going right now? Woonhwi turned in surprise. The angry trainee glared fiercely. Woonhwi retorted smoothly, Spy, I don't know everything, punk. The ghost girl watched curiously as Woonhwi thought, did he already forget that he also swallowed the blood parasite so that he could survive? The furious boy grabbed Woonhwi by the collar, accusing him of betraying his hometown friend just to stand out. Annoyed, Woonhwi shot back. What nonsense is that, you punk? What would I gain from impressing the blood cult? A commanding voice echoed over them, ordering everyone to pay attention. Captain O stepped to the front, announcing the start of the grade evaluations. He warned them not to make a fuss. Woonhwi narrowed his eyes. Him again? In my previous life, this was done by another captain, though. Is this because of what happened just now? Pointing a thumb behind him, Captain O barked, what you need to do is simple. Do you see the caves behind me? Dark, imposing cavern entrances stood waiting in the rock wall. He explained that each cave housed a cult examiner, and they simply needed to be evaluated. He continued, once your test is over, you'll be given either a basic, intermediate, or advanced plaque based on your grade. He advised them to try their best to get a good rank, as the distinct wooden plaques for each tier were visualized in the trainees' minds. Overlooking the nervous crowd, O declared that their cult places great emphasis on strength. He proudly highlighted his waist. Do you see the waistband that I'm wearing? Those that wear a blue one within the cult are advanced grade warriors. With a smug smirk, he added that blood parasites would be removed from advanced grade warriors recognized for their abilities, urging them to climb to the top for their reward. Excited murmurs rippled through the crowd as they realized the parasite could be removed. Watching them, Woonhwi thought coldly, everyone's excited at this tiny sliver of hope, huh? They don't know that that's how they slowly become a blood cult member. Captain O suddenly took out a red flute, asking if he hadn't told them not to make a fuss. Woonhwi's eyes widened in horror. That's... A sharp, piercing note rang out from the flute across the courtyard. Woonhwi instantly grabbed his head, groaning in pain. The hometown trainee looked down at him, confused, asking what was wrong with him all of a sudden. The boy frowned, asking why Woonhwi was covering his ears when the sound of the flute wasn't even that bad. But suddenly the boy's face went pale with cold sweat, his eyes trembling in sudden realization. A chorus of tortured screams erupted as the entire group of trainees collapsed in pure agony. Falling to the ground, Woonhwi clutched his head. The ghost girl panicked, asking why everyone was acting like this. Woonhwi grit his teeth, thinking, whenever that flute is blown, the blood parasites will start rampaging within our chests. He lay there pretending to be in pain, but realized something incredible. He thought, how strange. I'm sure I heard the flute, though. Why don't I feel anything? While the others writhed in sheer torment on the rocky ground, Captain O held the flute firmly. O lowered the instrument, cruelly revealing that he only told them about the advanced rank because it was customary, and that most of them would spend their lives with the parasite. The hometown boy groaned in despair about living with it forever. How long do you guys intend to lie down? Get up right away, O commanded sharply. The trainees slowly pulled themselves up from the dirt, their bodies trembling from the aftershocks of the pain. The ghost girl floated down to Woonhwi, guessing he survived because he covered his ears. Woonhwi thought to himself, even if I covered my ears, I can't stop the blood parasite from rampaging totally. He looked resolute. I'd confirm it with my internal energy if I had my danchin, he pondered. Steeling his resolve, he thought, all right, I've decided. Now that I've already swallowed the blood parasite, there's no way for me to get out anymore, right? Captain O raised a hand. I'll call out names from now. Desperate to prove himself, the hometown boy threw his hand into the air, yelling that he would like to go first for the tests. The ghost girl giggled at Woonhwi, wondering if the boy was just angry for being ignored earlier. Woonhwi sweat dropped, thinking, just because of that. O nodded coldly, ordering the trainee to step forward. The boy charged eagerly, shouting his affirmation. With a brutal swiftness, Captain O violently kicked the boy, sending him crashing heavily into the dirt. O glared down with icy fury. Are you deaf? Didn't I tell you not to do as you please? Don't you dare move as you please, you're just a mere trainee. Only move as and when instructed. The boy groveled in the dirt as O yelled for him to reply when a superior gave an order. Watching the pathetic display, Woonhwi thought, "That fool," while the boy cried out, "Yes, sir." Humiliated and terrified, the boy squeezed his eyes shut and repeatedly sobbed his compliance. O turned his dark gaze toward the kneeling trainees. Yeong So clan, So Woonhwi, you'll be the first to take the grade evaluations. Woonhwi pointed at himself in disbelief. He let out a mental sigh, feeling like O was purposefully making things hard for him. O smiled viciously, asking if the proud cult member's descendant had any complaints. Pointing to the imposing cave entrance, O declared that the rest of the members would line up and enter in sequence. Woonhwi walked alone into the dark cavern. He thought, I can't believe I'm taking this test again. I'm feeling kinda emotional. In my previous life, a captain known as Heejum tested me. The ghost girl trailed behind him as he reminisced. He thought about how the basic grades were just used as disposable manpower. The girl sighed, gosh, you must have had a hard life. Out of the shadows of the cave, a large man's voice boomed. Are you So Woonhwi from Yulang County? Woonhwi's face lit up with a confident spark. He thought, this voice is definitely. With this, my preparations are complete. Although he looks younger, he's definitely the one I knew from my previous life. The man stepped closer, his heavy boots scraping the stone. The girl asked if Woonhwi knew him. Yeah, I know him very well, Woonhwi answered in his mind. He grinned. He was my direct superior in my previous life. The girl blinked in surprise, repeating his words. The ghost girl remembered his past stories, asking which squad he had been in. The memory of a roaring voice filled his mind. The Blood Wolf Squad, brat, Blood Wolf Squad. Blood Wolf Squad? Is he the Blood Wolf Squad captain then? Woonhwi thought triumphantly. Yeah, that's the name that I told Do Jangho about. An intimidating man with an eye patch emerged from the darkness. Blood Wolf Squad Captain No Sangu, he introduced himself, demanding to know why Woonhwi wasn't answering him. No leaned in menacingly, repeating his question about whether Woonhwi was from Yulang County. Woonhwi smirked internally, thinking how he had already tricked one captain, and that Captain O's attempts to stump him were bound to fail. Confident he could easily trick his former superior, Woonhwi bowed deeply. He respectfully introduced himself and claimed he had heard a lot about the captain from his own grandfather. Captain No's single eye narrowed dangerously. That's an obvious lie, he growled, the sharp metallic hiss of his sword sliding from its scabbard filling the air. Woonhwi and the ghost girl flinched in utter shock as No questioned the claim about his grandfather. No fully drew his massive blade, pointing the steel squarely at Woonhwi. There's no one among the Blood Wolf Squad warriors who fits the profile of your grandfather, though. Who the hell are you? Woonhwi sprinted with desperation, the wind whipping past his frantic face. A devastating punch crashed into Woonhwi's face. He let out a pained grunt as the sheer force threw him backward. The fierce eye-patch-wearing captain glared down at him, bellowing, You must have a death wish. Did you say that your grandfather served under my father? Shivering on the ground, Woonhwi desperately cried out, I've trained in the Blood Wolf Squad from the bottom. The captain's voice thundered, I remember the names of all the warriors who served under my father. The spirit girl Sodom appeared in a panic, urging, You got caught right away. Can you do this alone? Pull me out now. Clutching his aching arm, Woonhwi thought to himself, If I pull you out now, the situation will only worsen. I need to talk to him first. Sodom shrieked, Woonhwi, below! With a sharp clash, Woonhwi barely intercepted a sweeping strike from the captain, the impact sending violent shockwaves through the air. Woonhwi was sent flying backward, his vision blurring. He groaned inwardly, I feel like my back's gonna break. How can anyone be so fast? The captain relentlessly pursued him, shattering the ground with a monstrous swing of his blade. Woonhwi dodged by a hair, thinking, If I can't get him to talk to me then. Gritting his teeth against the overwhelming pressure, Woonhwi panicked. He thought, Damn it, I can't hold on for much longer. A heavy boot slammed down with a crushing thud, pinning Woonhwi to the cracked stone floor in a cloud of dust. Blood spurted from Woonhwi's mouth. Sodom's ethereal voice echoed frantically, Woonhwi, wake up. Woonhwi staggered to his feet, clutching his bruised chest. He thought, Damn it, his ruthless personality is still the same. If he really kicked me, I'd have died right away. Sodom nervously asked if he was all right. Woonhwi reassured her, I'm okay, Sodom. That kick didn't have a lot of strength behind it. Sodom pointed urgently ahead, yelling, Look forward and pull yourself together. He's coming. The captain surged forward like a dark storm. The captain's heavy footsteps echoed ominously as he approached his fallen prey. Woonhwi gasped for air, glancing at his blade lodged far away in the dirt. He cursed internally, Damn it, I really almost died. Thanks, Sodom. Damn it, the sword flew too far away. A sharp, calculated glint returned to Woonhwi's eye. The captain mercilessly stomped onto Woonhwi's chest again, forcing a painful gag from his lips. Towering over him with a golden-hilted greatsword, the captain demanded, "Speak, who told you about me?" Despite the crushing weight, a sly grin spread across Woonhwi's bruised face. He thought, what a relief, he's thinking of interrogating me. "This is a chance," he gasped out. "Captain, don't you want to find your younger sister?" The captain froze, his piercing eye wide with shock, murmuring, "My younger sister," he added. "It seems that you've dug up a lot of information about me." The captain pressed his boot down harder, stating coldly, "But it seems you don't know that my sister has died." Woonhwi winced in agony under the crushing pressure. Refusing to back down, Woonhwi shouted, "No, Sewa is alive. On the day your father got murdered, she got kidnapped." The captain dismissed it, muttering, "What nonsense!" Woonhwi pressed on, yelling, "The corpse that you saw, why was her body the only one that got burned?" Looking deadly serious, Woonhwi declared, "That corpse is a fake. She's still alive. If you want to hear more about this, then let's make a deal." A heavy silence fell over the gloomy cavern as the two men stared each other down. The captain's gaze darkened with dangerous intensity, whispering, "To think you even know her name." His grip tightened fiercely around the hilt of his massive sword. With a deafening crash, the captain drove the colossal blade into the earth, mere inches from Woonhwi's face. "So you aren't bluffing," he concluded. The captain narrowed his singular eye, asking, "Did you see it yourself?" Woonhwi smirked confidently, replying, "Weren't the ones who confirmed the sword wounds on your father's body and recovered it, both the Flower Moon Merchant Association and their leader, Ho Wall." The captain remained silent, his imposing figure casting a long shadow. Woonhwi noted inwardly, "He's wavering. I just need to do one more thing here." Woonhwi laid out his final card. "Your sister is at the Flower Moon Merchant Association's Zhejiang's Jinhai County branch. Since people will be able to confirm that, please send people you trust to do so." The captain scrutinized him carefully, whispering, "Who are you?" Breathing heavily, Woonhwi slowly pushed himself off the ground. "After this, I can assume that our deal is on, right?" he asked. His expression turned completely serious as he added, "Please help me when I need your help next time." The captain issued a chilling threat, warning, "If what you said isn't the truth, I'll definitely cut your head off myself, no matter where you are." Woonhwi grasped the captain's massive hand without hesitation. "I've already swallowed the blood parasite, so why would I lie?" he said warmly. "Captain, I hope you find your sister quickly." The captain pulled Woonhwi to his feet, grumbling, "I still don't trust you completely, so Woonhwi." Woonhwi bowed respectfully, saying, "You're truly just as magnanimous as I've heard. Thank you," he reflected fondly. "This was why I was able to trust and follow him in my previous life." Suddenly, something caught Woonhwi's attention. He murmured, "Hmm." A small object was now in his hand, making him stutter in surprise. "This is..." He caught a wooden token and stared at it in disbelief, realizing it was a middle-rank plaque. The captain retrieved his sword with a metallic clink. He asked, "Did you hear about my personality from your grandfather? Would you believe me if I said yes?" Sliding the heavy blade into its sheath, the captain sighed. "Well, I could play along," he murmured. Glancing back over his shoulder, the captain remarked, "What are you talking about? I don't know if you're smart or just stupid." The captain pointed out the flaw in the lie. "You've never even mentioned your grandfather's name. But when I pushed you for answers, you simply spilled everything." Caught in his own bluff, Woonhwi broke a sweat and awkwardly scratched his head. He thought, "He's right." Defeated, he chuckled. "I guess you got me then." The captain crossed his arms firmly. "I don't know what you're planning, but I'll trust you this once, so Woonhwi," he decided. Later, in the empty cave, Sodom floated beside him, breathing a sigh of relief. "Phew, that's a relief, Woonhwi. I thought you'd be in deep shit from the moment I got flung away," she said. Woonhwi agreed silently. "Yeah, I got really lucky." In his mind, the captain replayed the clash. He analyzed the bizarre fight, thinking, "And that movement just now, even if he got lucky and blocked my first attack." The captain recalled the desperate parry, noting, "He had his eyes closed when he blocked my second attack." Rubbing his chin, the captain pondered, "His movements are a little bit slower than they should be if he did it by tracking my presence. How should I put this? It sounds ridiculous, but it's as if." Watching Woonhwi's retreating back, he concluded, "Someone's helping him." The captain immediately dismissed the idea. "What a crazy thought, though," he mused. "Have I met him before? Strangely, I don't dislike him." Back outside under the bright sky, a masked instructor barked orders to the disciples. "Move quickly. Line up according to your rank plaques." The instructor commanded those with the middle rank plaque to follow him, causing a nearby disciple to gasp in utter confusion. Veins popping on his forehead, the disciple shrieked, "Impossible! I can't believe this! Good for nothing, someone like you." Woonhwi flashed a smug, irritating grin, casually dangling his new middle-rank plaque. The furious disciple screamed, "How did you get the middle-rank plaque? Don't mess with me, you bastard." The dull thud of footsteps and idle chatter echoed through the valley as the group of cadets marched down the dusty mountain trail. Walking alongside Woonhwi, Song Jaewabi complained, "I can't understand it no matter how hard I think about it. Does this make sense?" Woonhwi remained completely silent. Jaewabi glared at him, clearly frustrated. How did someone like you, who doesn't have an energy core, receive the intermediate rank plaque like me? Did you get some special privileges because you're from the blood cult? The spirit girl floated near Woonhwi, whispering, Jwabik is so competitive. Woonhwi sighed internally, thinking about how bothersome it was that they were coming at him from all sides. She popped up playfully in his line of sight. From all sides? Ah, come to think of it, there's Captain O as well. Woonhwi glanced at the masked captain walking ahead of them. He reasoned with himself, since I came out fine even after meeting No Sangu, I should be clean, although something still feels off about him. The spirit girl laughed hysterically. Puha, you gave it to him good, like your fart. Woonhwi grimaced, thinking she needed to stop talking about farts. He knew the captain was probably angry because he lost his excuse to pick on him. Hovering beside him, the spirit girl tilted her head. But Woonhwi, what do you intend to do from now on? He placed a hand over his abdomen, feeling the hollow space within. He thought, firstly, I need to create an opportunity to fix up my energy core. Your energy core? She asked, bewildered. She floated closer, asking how he planned to do that, and if he thought an energy core was so easy to fix. Woonhwi replied with a confident smirk, I've got my ways. Looking resolute, Woonhwi asked her, have you heard of the all-healing divine physician? She raised an eyebrow in curiosity, asking what about him. Woonhwi explained, he's a physician known for being able to cure everything. He'll heal you as long as you pay the price. Based on what I heard, Woonhwi added, he's also healed a broken energy core before. Woonhwi noted that in 10 days, the physician would arrive right here at Six Blood Valley. The spirit girl clapped her hands, cheerfully declaring he just needed to pay the price and get cured. She suddenly paused, a look of sheer panic crossing her face. But didn't you leave all your money at the inn? The only thing you have is me. She furiously pummeled his shoulder with ghostly fists, shouting, You ungrateful bastard! Are you intending to sell me for the healing fee? Woonhwi flinched, stammering a desperate denial. A nearby cadet grumbled, wondering why Woonhwi was suddenly shadowboxing the air. Woonhwi leaned away from the spirit, whispering harshly, I'm going to find a herb and use that as the fee. The spirit girl blinked in confusion. A herb. Woonhwi grinned like a mastermind. Yeah, 10 days later, the all-healing divine physician will ask for a certain herb, and I know the location since I'm a regressor. She beamed, praising him for having it all perfectly planned out. Woonhwi reasoned that he ought to make it big within the blood cult. The spirit girl laughed at the absurdity of an orthodox sect member wanting to rise in a demonic cult. Woonhwi shrugged it off, noting that rotten bastards were everywhere. Suddenly, someone up ahead shouted, Wait a minute, stop. They stumbled upon a brutal scene. Unconscious bodies littered the stone courtyard. Someone gasped, asking what had happened and who did this. A massive, terrifying man wearing a tiger's skin stood among the bodies, effortlessly holding a limp cadet by the throat. The giant tossed the cadet aside like a ragdoll and growled, These bastards are all useless. You there, who the hell are you? Captain O stepped forward fearlessly, letting out an intrigued hum. The giant smirked, a dangerous glint in his eye. Kyukuku, new bastards have arrived. With a swift, violent motion, the giant hurled the unconscious cadet directly at Captain O. Captain O drew his blade with a sharp scrape, barking an order for everyone to get behind him. He gripped his sword hilt so tight his knuckles turned white, bracing for impact. The giant closed the distance in a flash, his eyes glowing white. He growled menacingly, You're in my way, so get lost. With a devastating, heavy blow, Captain O was launched flying through the air like a broken toy. He crashed into the earth with a violent thud, completely incapacitated. Woonhwi stared in utter disbelief, thinking, did he just defeat Captain O in one strike? Cold sweat dripped down Woonhwi's face. He thought it was ridiculous that a first-rate martial master got taken down instantly. He realized he had never heard of such a monster in his previous life. The giant stood tall, radiating immense aura. Woonhwi felt the incredible pressure bearing down on them. The cadets panicked, screaming, Did he kill the captain? Another cadet yelled for everyone to stand down, noting he wasn't dead. Ignoring their panic, the giant lazily pulled his arms back, clapped his hands together, sending forward a massive shockwave. Woonhwi was blown off his feet, stunned by the sheer wind pressure generated by a simple clap. A sharp, deafening ring pierced Woonhwi's eardrums. He grabbed his head, screaming in agonizing pain. The entire group of cadets was flattened to the courtyard floor, groaning in pure misery. The giant casually scratched his chest, scoffing, HMPH, screaming at just this level. Are these bastards all trash as well? The spirit girl hovered over him, frantically asking if he could hear her. Woonhwi winced, feeling like his eardrums were torn to shreds, unable to hear anything around him. Dark blood leaked from his ear. The world spun wildly, making him feel like he was going to vomit. The spirit girl noted his chest was heating up, just like before with the parasite. Woonhwi realized the ringing had stopped, and miraculously his wounds had recovered. A reckless, defiant grin crossed his face. Damn it, bring it on. Song Jwabik stepped offensively in front of his brother, yelling at the giant, If you're going to kill us, then try it. I'll not let you lay a single finger on my younger brother." Bleeding heavily, Jwabik fiercely stood his ground alongside his brother. The giant observed them, amused that Jwabik had endured the clap, though he noted the boy would have been better off staying down. A dark, menacing chuckle rumbled from the giant's chest. "Kukuku, you pass." Jwabik blinked, completely thrown off guard. "I pass." Before he could process it, a brutal slam from the giant drove Jwabik's face straight into the dirt. His younger brother cried out in horror as Jwabik crumpled instantly. The spirit girl urgently asked Woonhwi if he could move. He knew if he stayed there any longer, he was done for. The giant noticed Woonhwi slowly standing up and muttered with interest, "Ho, there's another one." The spirit girl shrieked for him to run, and Woonhwi immediately bolted. The giant lunged forward with explosive, terrifying speed, right on his heels. A massive, shadow-casting foot came crashing down toward Woonhwi's head. Woonhwi's face contorted with absolute, paralyzing terror. Sometime later, Captain O lay on the ground, groggily opening his eyes to the sound of someone calling his name. Commander Gu Sangwoo stood over him, explaining he came looking since the captain had missed their designated time. The commander supported him, looking at the heavily wounded cadets and asking what on earth had happened. Captain O painfully admitted that a barbarian had appeared. The commander was shocked, questioning if an outsider really did all this. Ashamed, the captain confessed the man was strong enough to take him out in just one hit. He described the attacker as having scruffy hair, a huge body, and wearing a tiger skin as his top. The commander's eyes widened in sudden realization. He muttered, "Ah, yes, that's right, 71, 72. The captain looked at him, asking if something was the matter. The commander grimly replied, "I think it's that person who hit you and kidnapped the kids." The bloodied masked man glared down. "Do you know Elder Hey Action of the Four Supremes?" The defeated man trembled, stuttering, "Did you say Hey Action?" He explained that that person had been staying near the valley up until recently. "He's one of the four absolute beings of the blood cult," the commander warned, noting his highly eccentric personality. "Eccentric Hey Action." Deep within a dark cavern, Action chuckled darkly. "Kukuku, how unexpected." He held up Woonhwi's worn short sword with a heavy clink. "Were you looking for this?" Woonhwi glared fiercely. Action mused that it was strange for a new cadet to possess a short sword, even one so worn out. Sitting on his elevated seat above the unconscious cadets, Action looked down at Woonhwi. "I can't believe that some brat with a destroyed energy core was able to endure that attack, and you're the first one to wake up." A terrifying, wide, toothy grin spread across Action's face. "Looks like things are about to get very interesting." Woonhwi and two masked figures scaled a breathtakingly high and steep cliffside, leaping gracefully from rock to rock. A masked man bowed his head and said, "My apologies, Commander, this is all because of my negligence." The commander, leading the way, replied firmly, "The Supreme Elder is not someone you can do anything about." The masked man asked with a hint of dread, "Do not tell me he killed those guys, right?" He added, "They are intermediate rank cadets who are very hard to come by." The commander kept his eyes forward and answered, "I am not sure about So Woonhwi, but the twins, they could be at the advanced rank." He sighed heavily. "I do not know what will happen to them as well." The commander gritted his teeth, thinking, "I knew that crazy old man came here from time to time, but I never expected him to mess with the cadets." The masked man warned, "We are about to reach his abode." He added, "Captain O, please be mindful of how you talk to the Supreme Elder." As they sprinted toward a dark cave entrance, the masked man added, "Even within the four Supremes, he is the most eccentric and hardest to deal with." Kneeling respectfully outside the cave, the commander announced loudly, "All submit to the blood demon, may blood rule the world." He continued, "Oh, Supreme Elder, I am Commander Gu Sangwoo that is in charge of the Six Blood Valley cadets." The commander nudged Captain O, whispering sharply, "Pay your respects to him quickly." Captain O hastily replied, "Yes, Commander." An eerie, heavy silence echoed from the pitch-black mouth of the cave. Captain O whispered nervously, "Commander, should we not go in and take a look?" The commander whispered back, "Just wait. No good will come out of getting on his nerves." Suddenly, a tremendous blast of white energy erupted from the ground. The commander groaned under its weight and stuttered, Seed." The large, hairy elder grinned fiercely, revealing pitch-black darkness behind his teeth, and chuckled, "I guess you are pretty decent for a commander, Cuckoo." Bowing deeply, the commander humbled himself. "I do not deserve that praise. I am but an insect to a being like you, Supreme Elder." The elder scoffed, HMPH, obviously so. Inside the dimly lit cave, the elder sat on a tiger pelt while Woonhwi and the unconscious twins laid on the floor. "Yeah, the reason you guys are here, is it because of these kids?" the elder asked. The commander replied, "That is right, Supreme Elder. We are going to raise them as our cult warriors." The elder glared with a piercing eye, asking, "Are you afraid that I would hurt these kids?" The commander sweated and stuttered, "Not at all." The twins snored loudly, completely oblivious. The elder chuckled, "Cuckoo, these kids here, they seem to be pretty decent." Rubbing his chin thoughtfully, the elder said, I was thinking of teaching them a few tricks while they are here with me. The elder added reassuringly, so do not worry about them. The commander gripped his sword in shock, thinking, Elder Hay is going to teach them personally. The commander thought, he has never accepted any disciples so far though. He then bowed politely. Understood, Supreme Elder. I did not know that was your intention. Congratulations on taking in disciples. The elder narrowed his eyes in annoyance and said, Do not be mistaken. The commander asked in confusion, Pardon. Lazily picking his ear, the elder scoffed. I am just using them to appease my loneliness in this place. Do you think I would take on any disciples? The commander apologized. Forgive me, Supreme Elder. Meanwhile, Captain O thought with burning jealousy, what is he talking about? Is he not taking them as his disciples? Captain O gritted his teeth, thinking, but learning from a powerful martial master is already a life-changing experience. He thought furiously, and it is the teaching of one of the four Supremes. Dropping to his knees with a loud thud, Captain O thought, So Won Wei, I will not let you have that chance, he yelled. I would like to tell you something, Supreme Elder. Captain O declared, One of the cadets you have taken, So Won Wei, has a destroyed energy core. The commander gasped, Captain O, what are you doing right now? Captain O pressed on, He is not worthy of receiving your teaching. Suddenly, a swift, violent wind struck him hard. Captain O was launched backward into the air, plummeting off the cliff edge with a terrified scream. The elder leaned forward with a terrifying roar, his energy blazing, and yelled, Why are you giving your opinion when I am the one who has decided to teach him? A deadly shadow fell over the elder's face as he commanded coldly, I do not want to hear you talking anymore, get lost, right away. The commander bowed deeply, sweating, and replied, Understood, we will take our leave now. Leaping away through the misty air, the commander thought, Nothing can be done here, while it is a pity to lose the twins because of their potential. He continued his thought, I thought we could make good use of So Won Wei, who is from Yeong So clan, and send him to become a spy within the Murim alliance. Back inside the bright cave, the elder grumbled, They are so fucking noisy, seriously. Won Wei sat quietly behind the snoring twins. Won Wei stared intensely at the elder, putting the pieces together, and thought, I see, the person who taught the black-white wind demons in my previous life. Scratching his stomach, the massive man sat casually. Won Wei thought, was one of the four Supremes Hey Action, he wondered, but why did he bring me here too? Won Wei continued to observe him, his mind racing with possibilities. The elder gripped a strange sword and muttered, I have become hungry after talking for a little while. Turning his broad back to Won Wei, the elder commanded, You, get me food within 4 hours. Won Wei stuttered, Pardon? He internally panicked. What crazy bullshit is that? Did he just bring me here to get him food? The elder unsheathed his blade with a sharp scrape, a sinister smile on his face, and threatened, I am just telling you this in advance, do not even think of running away. He warned, if you get caught by me while running away. The elder's eyes turned entirely white with bloodlust as he said, Better be prepared for the worst. Won Wei gulped, thinking, I just got shivers sent down my spine. Watching the massive man walk away with heavy steps, Won Wei thought, Does he think I will not run just because he tells me not to? He planned. I will play along with him, wait for a good opportunity and make a run for it when it is the right time. Won Wei bowed subserviently. Yes, sir, but I do not know any martial arts. He reasoned, it would be hard for me to get any food without any weapons as well. Acting emotional, Won Wei held up his hands. And that short sword you are holding in your hand, that is my mother's keepsake and also. Suddenly, the elder chucked a dagger right into Won Wei's forehead with a sharp smack. The elder laughed heartily as Won Wei groaned on the floor. Cuckoo. You are a tricky one, are you not? He declared. Take that. I do not need a lousy short sword like that. Rubbing his bleeding forehead, Won Wei stuttered. Thank you, sir. Beside him, a glowing ghost girl shrieked. That half-naked barbarian used me to touch all those dirty places. He even used me to pick his teeth. He is so fucking disgusting. With brutal force, the elder kicked both of the sleeping twins directly in their faces. Stomping on them violently, the elder shouted, How long are these two twins going to fucking sleep? They are going to die at this rate. The elder effortlessly dragged the bruised, groaning twins by their collars. Stopping near the cave exit, the elder looked over his shoulder and said, Oh, I almost forgot. With a wide, hungry grin, he demanded, I want to eat meat. Kyukuku, be sure to bring back. With an explosive burst of speed, the elder rocketed out of the cave, leaving a massive dust cloud behind. Won Wei rushed to the ledge, stuttering in awe. What was that? Where did he go? A violent gust of wind whipped past, forcing Won Wei to shield his eyes as he groaned. Why is there such a strong wind? Won Wei's eyes widened in sheer disbelief as he exclaimed, What? Standing on the edge of a seemingly bottomless cliff, he yelled, Where the hell am I? He yelled in frustration. He wants me to bring back food in 4 hours, he despaired. I will take 4 hours just to get down from this place. Gritting his teeth, he muttered, Where would I get meat in such a place? The ghost girl suddenly pointed. The ghost girl urgently directed him. Won Wei, look over there. Won Wei turned and asked, What is it? Far below in the lush forest, the elder was leaping incredible distances through the air, carrying the twins effortlessly. They stared in stunned silence until the ghost girl commented, "He is jumping really far, is he not?" Woonwei's shoulders slumped in defeat. "How can you run away from someone like him?" He groaned. I have totally lost all motivation to do so." Slapping his own cheeks, Woonwei hyped himself up. "Pull yourself together, So Woonwei. If you give up here, you will become that old man's slave." He gripped the rocky edge tightly and declared, "All right, since it has come down to this, I will do whatever I can." Slowly scaling down the treacherous rock face, Woonwei complained, "Damn it, it is so damn steep." He asked himself, "How do people even run away from here?" Suddenly, the rock he held snapped as he panicked. "Wait, I need to focus on getting down first." He fell backward, screaming as he plummeted towards the forest below. He crashed violently into a thick tree canopy, coughing violently upon impact. Cug. Hugging the giant branch for dear life, Woonwei panted, "I really almost fell to my death. If only I had internal energy." The ghost girl floated down, teasing, "Whoa, Tilda, you survived that fall?" Woonwei cursed, "Damn it. Why is my life so tough, even though it is already my second life?" The ghost girl cheered, "But at least you came down real quick, did you not?" Woonwei snapped back angrily, "You little rascal, I will break the shit out of you." Looking up at the impossibly high peak, he asked wearily, "So how far did I come down?" The ghost girl smirked. "You really want me to tell you?" Woonwei sighed in defeat. "No, forget it." Later, looking completely drained and terrified, Woonwei heard a booming voice complain, "4 hours have passed. I cannot believe you are still dawdling around here." The elder loomed over him, grinning wildly with killing intent. "I guess you did not pay heed to my warnings," he added menacingly. "You are prepared to die, right?" Desperate, Woonwei threw himself to his knees and wailed dramatically, "I have missed you, sir. I cannot feel my hands." The towering elder stared down at him in sheer confusion, asking, "What nonsense is that?" The serene mountain forest basked in the gentle sunlight, entirely unaware of the chaos unfolding within its depths. A small, innocent rabbit poked its head out from the bushes, twitching its nose with a soft, rustling sound. Hidden in the dense foliage, Woonwei drew back his bowstring with a strained creak, aiming dead at the unsuspecting creature. With a sharp thwack, the arrow pierced the rabbit, making it squeal in pain as blood splattered across the grass. Woonwei exhaled deeply and lowered his bow as the sword spirit cheered joyfully. "That was great. It is a bullseye." The spirit floated happily nearby, praising him. "You are getting pretty good at this." Woonwei smirked, wiping sweat from his brow, and replied, "I have gotten used to it since I have lived like this for 2 months." As he walked over to collect his prize, Woonwei thought back to the very beginning. "At first, I got the absolute crap beaten out of me because I used up all my time to get down the cliff." The spirit shivered. I thought you were going to get beaten to death back then." Pulling the arrow from the carcass, he smiled wryly. The spirit teased, "You should have given up at some point in time, too. After that, you got beaten up because you tried to run away." Woonwei chuckled softly. "That was so long ago." The spirit hovered beside him as Woonwei tied up the rabbit. "I guess you will get past today safely," she noted. He nodded with a tired sigh. "Yeah, if I catch just 1 or 2 more." Suddenly, a massive, imposing figure wearing a tiger pelt stepped out from the trees, casting a dark, terrifying shadow over Woonwei. Woonwei flinched, glancing back nervously with a stiff smile. He stuttered, "Supreme Elder, you are here early today. I was about to go back up shortly." Hey Action grinned menacingly, a dark aura radiating from him. "Cuckoo, so did you catch any food? My stomach is totally empty." Panicking, Woonwei dropped to his knees, offering up the 2 tiny rabbits with trembling hands. He stuttered, "Yes, sir. Today's dinner would be grilled rabbits." Action snatched the dead animals, lifting them up with a disappointed hum. "Cuckoo, let's see, 1, 2, just 2. The elder glared down at him, his beast-like eyes piercing Woonwei's very soul. "We have 4 people, though, so how can you catch just 2 rabbits? I guess we have to reduce the amount of mouths to feed." Woonwei looked up, a cold sweat rolling down his pale face. "Pardon," he squeaked, right before a massive fist hurtled toward him. A series of heavy, bone-crunching thuds echoed loudly through the towering cliffs as Woonwei was mercilessly pummeled. A short while later, Woonwei found himself dangling upside down from a tree high above the canyon. He sighed in total defeat, thinking, "Guess today is not my day too. Unsurprising." With a swollen, bruised face and a bloody nose, Woonwei stared blankly at the gorge. He groaned internally, "This is so sickening. I really have no idea what he is thinking. I am sure he has got a reason for doing this." He remembered his grueling daily routine. "For the last 2 months, I have lived like a slave. Every single day, I climbed down a cliff where I could have fallen to my death if I slipped even a little." He pictured himself sprinting through the woods, desperately searching for anything edible. "I searched the forest thoroughly to find food." Woonwei recalled the vicious cycle of his suffering. "If I find food, I get beaten up. If I do not find food, I get beaten up even more," he thought, remembering the brutal impact of the giant's fists. Dangling upside down, the spirit hovered near him and teased. When you got tied up to a tree at first, did you not puke all over the place? Woonhwi winced, feeling the blood rush to his head. I do not do that now since I have gotten used to both the beating and being tied up. Just then an arrogant voice shouted from above. Hey, so Woonhwi? Woonhwi jolted, looking up at the broad silhouette standing on the cliff's edge. A muscular man with a bandana glared down at him angrily. Are you still unable to hunt any food? Me and Woohyun are getting beat up because of you. The spirit giggled, pointing out, even Jwabik is looking in a terrible state after 1 month. Woonhwi scoffed, muttering, well, he is not the only one. He then yelled back, excuses. You guys would get beaten up even if it were not for me. Jwabik turned around, his posture tense. Supreme Elder is looking for you, go back. Woonhwi blinked in surprise. So early. The spirit floated close, looking genuinely worried. He called for you 2 hours earlier than usual, right? Woonhwi swallowed hard, a drop of cold sweat rolling down his bruised face. Yeah, I wonder what he will do to me again. I do not feel good about this. Back at the hideout, Action lounged comfortably by the fire. He commanded casually, take off your shirt. Woonhwi froze, his eyes widening in complete shock. What, my shirt? He asked hesitantly. Action simply nodded, yeah. Feeling incredibly awkward, Woonhwi started untying his outer robes. The spirit watched curiously as he thought, that is so random. I do not understand why I am doing this. Action leaned forward, stroking his thick beard as he carefully inspected Woonhwi's exposed, toned torso. He let out an intrigued hum. Woonhwi stared nervously, wondering, about ready? What is he talking about? The spirit nudged him and whispered, hey, your body has gotten a lot better after climbing the cliff, hunting, and being hung on trees. Action stood up, declaring, you will go get food from tomorrow. One of the other disciples pointed at himself and stuttered, me? That is what So Woonhwi is supposed to do. Before he could finish, Action silenced him with a brutal backhand. The disciple crashed violently into the stone wall. Action roared, if I tell you to do it, just do it. Stop blinking, blabbering. Looking down at the terrified disciple cooking rats over the fire, Action ordered, I will be back after a while, so grill it well. The battered man whimpered, yes, sir. Woonhwi watched the bizarre scene, thoroughly confused, as he pulled his robes back over his shoulders. Suddenly, Action grabbed Woonhwi by the collar and leapt completely off the towering cliff. Woonhwi screamed in sheer terror as they plummeted toward the valley below. Woonhwi choked back a sob, clinging desperately to the giant's arm in the rushing wind. He stuttered, Supreme Elder, can we not walk instead? Unfazed by the massive drop, Action smirked over his shoulder. You sure sound cocky. The wind howled around them as they free-fell toward a roaring waterfall. Action yelled over the noise. In the first place, I am the one going through this shit because you cannot use Kingong. Down below, the crystal-clear river teemed with fish, entirely undisturbed by the impending chaos. With a tremendous splash, the two crashed deep into the water, sending a massive plume of white foam flying everywhere. Woonhwi breached the surface, gasping for air and sputtering water. He cried out, whoa, why on earth are you doing this to me? Action laughed heartily from the shore. Kyukuku, we are on the way to meet the person who will become your master. I cannot possibly present you to him in that pathetic state of yours, can I? Woonhwi froze in the river, water dripping from his soaked hair. He repeated in sheer disbelief, master. Woonhwi wiped the water from his eyes, scoffing internally. I guess he does not think he looks the worst out of all of you, the spirit chimed in. Woonhwi mentally agreed, I know right. Standing on the riverbank, Action ordered, that is enough washing up, come on out. Woonhwi waded toward the shore, grumbling, I only dip myself in the water, though. The spirit held her nose and whined, look at this. This is why he smells like a beggar. Following the giant, Woonhwi trekked behind the cascading waterfall, stepping carefully on the slippery, dangerous rocks. The spirit marveled at the hidden cavern. I cannot believe this was a place like this behind the waterfall. Does anyone live here? Woonhwi mused. I guess he is someone who does not want to be bothered by others. The spirit's eyes sparkled with romantic excitement. That person could be a very powerful and good-looking martial master. Woonhwi rolled his eyes, sighing, come on, I doubt it. Walking deeper into the gloomy cave, Woonhwi felt a sense of dread. But to think this old man has a close friend who he can ask to accept a disciple. I doubt that person is normal, he thought. Action's heavy footsteps suddenly halted. He announced firmly into the dark, we are here. They stood before a dimly lit cave chamber. Action gestured toward a silhouette sitting quietly in the shadows. This is it. Woonhwi stared blankly at the unmoving figure. Annoyed by his hesitation, Action snapped, what are you doing? Pay your respects quickly. Pointing toward the darkness, Action declared with absolute seriousness, this person will be your master from now on. Dropping to one knee in a formal martial salute, Woonhwi bowed deeply. All submit to the blood demon, may blood rule the world. I am an intermediate rank cadet of our cult. I, So Woonhwi, pay my respects to my master. He waited for a response, but only an eerie silence followed. The spirit floated over to the figure, her eyes widening. Woonhwi, I do not think that person is able to accept your greetings, she whispered. Woonhwi frowned, thinking, what are you talking about? Won Wei slowly raised his head, finally getting a clear look at his new master sitting against the cave wall. It was nothing but a rotting skeleton cloaked in old, ragged robes, clutching a rusted sword. Won Wei gaped at the skull as the realization hit him. I think that person died a long time ago. Staring at the bony remains, Won Wei felt a mix of total confusion and anger. The spirit pointed at the corpse, asking, "Is he referring to this skeleton?" Won Wei slowly turned to the giant and stuttered, "Supreme Elder, what is happening here? Are you playing a trick on me?" Action burst into a booming, terrifying laugh that shook the cavern. "Playing a trick on you? Kyukuku, do you think I have got nothing better to do?" His booming voice suddenly turned serious. "Have you not noticed them yet? The changes that have taken place in you during the last 2 months. You got stronger as you climbed the cliff." Action continued. "You got faster and improved your stamina as you hunted." Reminding him of the daily abuse, he added, "You got tougher as you got beaten up by me, and you also became stronger mentally." Crossing his massive arms, Action grinned proudly. "And even hanging from the tree was training that helps you to train your center of balance and your core. Everything so far was to build the basic physical strength for you to learn martial arts." When we looked down, his voice trembling slightly with shame. "Supreme Elder, I apologize for saying this, but I lost my energy core when I experienced energy deviation when I was young." Action chuckled deeply, his eyes gleaming with a strange, intense wisdom. "Kyukuku, do you think I trained you in all those without knowing about your condition?" Standing tall in the dark cave, Action looked down at his bewildered disciple and asked, "What would you do if I told you there is a way to control internal energy without an energy core?" Won Wei's head snapped up, his pupils shaking as a desperate spark of hope ignited in his chest. "A way to control internal energy without an energy core," he whispered in absolute shock. Hey Action, a mountain of a man draped in a tiger pelt, crossed his thick arms and looked down at Won Wei. "Do you know what an essence is?" Won Wei muttered. "An essence. That is something you learn the moment you start learning martial arts," Hey Action explained, his booming voice echoing in the cave. "As the name indicates, it is required for all martial arts, and essence is also known as the energy core. As one trains, they use energy circulation or cultivation techniques to refine their energy. When it accumulates within your core, that is known as internal energy." Hey Action continued, "But since your energy core is destroyed, you will not be able to use that essence of yours." Won Wei thought to himself that the old man was right, but wondered why he was bringing up basic knowledge every martial artist already knew. Flashing a toothy grin, Hey Action raised 2 thick fingers. "What remains are 2 things, energy and physical body. Do you know what energy is?" Won Wei's eyes narrowed as he glanced at the strange characters carved into the floor. "Are you talking about the origin energy?" he asked cautiously. Internally, dread crept in. He had a bad feeling about this and prayed the old man did not mean what he thought he meant. Moving towards Won Wei, Hey Action said, "You learned some half-assed stuff. Origin energy isn't wrong." He pressed a finger against his chest. "But the real name of that thing sitting right in the center of your chest is something else," Hey Action declared. "Innate core energy." Pointing a massive finger at Won Wei, the Supreme Elder elaborated. "The innate core energy is something you are born with and cannot be accumulated. It is said to have twice the power of the internal energy that is accumulated via your energy core." A sinister grin spread across Hey Action's face. "In that sense, you are lucky, since those words written over there teach you how to control your innate core energy." The ghostly figure of Sodom cheered, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "My goodness, you struck the jackpot. With this, you will be able to learn martial arts too." Won Wei let out a heavy sigh. Sodom tilted her head, asking why he didn't look happy and if he intended to waste such a precious opportunity. Won Wei thought grimly, "Sodom? The innate core energy is exactly as the name implies. It is a vital energy that equates to one's life." He continued his morbid thought process. "There is only one situation when a martial artist uses their innate core energy, and that would be when they are trying to die together with their enemy. It cannot be recovered. If I keep using it, I will not live for long either." Sodom gasped in horror. Sodom's playful demeanor completely vanished. "Ooh, in that case, yeah." While Hey Action towered over him, Won Wei realized the grim reality. If he learned this technique and continued using his origin energy, his days were severely numbered. Grinding his teeth, Won Wei cursed the old man in his mind. "Darn old man, does he think I will be happy and jump at this chance? No way I will do this." Instantly changing his demeanor, Won Wei bowed deeply, respectfully scraping the floor. "Supreme Elder, thank you for teaching me something so valuable. Thank you so much." Keeping his eyes shut, Won Wei laid it on thick. "People have told me that I was talentless my whole time in the clan. Please reconsider teaching me this." Floating nearby, Sodom deadpanned. "Wow, your face does not change even a little when you are lying." Hey Action rubbed his beard in thought. "HMPH, I went through all that trouble to help you train your body, but you are talentless." Won Wei peeked up, thinking his brilliant acting had worked. His hope shattered as Hey Action unleashed a menacing, toothy cackle. "Kyukuku, I guess you do know some martial arts stuff since you are from a martial arts clan. Do you think I do not know you are trying to avoid learning this because you know it will consume your origin energy? Cold sweat dripped down Woonhwi's face as he stuttered. I do not know what you are talking about. With a sharp whoosh, a massive hand shot out toward him. Hey Action lifted Woonhwi off the ground by his throat with effortless brutality. You are indeed someone who isn't good with words. I will need to help you understand that you must do this properly. Hey Action's eyes glowed with killing intent. You know that if you do not learn this, you will be useless to me, right? I will let you choose. The elder pulled him in close, growling. Do you want your neck to be snapped here and die? Or do you want to learn this and die slowly? Woonhwi desperately grabbed at the massive forearm, choking him. Sodom panicked, screaming for Woonhwi to just agree to learn it. But Woonhwi knew if he caved now, he would become a permanent pawn in the elder's twisted plans. Gasping for air, Woonhwi choked out a defiant plea. Please kill me then, Sodom screamed. What, are you crazy? Hey Action paused, genuinely surprised. What, do you not care about your life? Do you think anyone would blame me just for killing you? Dangling his prey higher, the elder mocked him. With what confidence is a guy with a destroyed energy core asking for death? Woonhwi steeled himself. He knew if he wanted to be more than just a third-rate spy, he had to take this terrifying gamble. Hacking and coughing, Woonhwi wheezed. Are you not going to kill me? He knew sometimes a man had to risk his life to win the bet. Panting heavily, Woonhwi admitted he was scared. But if I live like that, then it will be just as you say. The dark vision of living as a mindless puppet flashed in his mind. He would just be made use of for life and tossed aside to die after. Despite the suffocating grip, Woonhwi forced a strained smirk. Since I already have the blood parasite inside me, I would rather die now than live like that. The elder's fierce expression cracked into absolute confusion. Blood parasite. Hey Action suddenly threw his head back and erupted into deafening laughter, immediately dropping Woonhwi to the cold stone floor. Woonhwi hit the ground with a heavy thud, rubbing his bruised neck. The elder wiped a tear of mirth. I cannot believe you are still trying to lie to me in that situation. I guess you are not brainless, huh? Woonhwi coughed violently, staring up in confusion. Lie to him? What do you mean by that? Hey Action scoffed, his amusement fading into smug confidence. Do you think I haven't checked what condition your body is in? I already knew it from the moment I decided to bring you along with me. Woonhwi flinched, a chill running down his spine. If you knew that, why didn't you do anything about it? Turning his attention to the mysterious text carved into the cavern floor, Hey Action snorted. HMPH, I do not care about something like the blood parasite. There is something else that matters to me more. Woonhwi finally understood. He realized that if the elder truly wanted him dead, he would have killed him the moment he discovered the missing parasite. Woonhwi watched the imposing figure. Hey Action definitely wanted something from him, and whatever it was deeply tied to this dangerous martial art. Rubbing his thick beard, Hey Action hummed thoughtfully. All right, I will make you an offer that you would be interested in. Looking back over his shoulder, the elder laid out his terms. As the price for asking you to do what I tell you to, I will close my eyes to you not having the blood parasite. How is that? It is nothing difficult, after you have learned this. You just have to fight the twins who I will be teaching my martial arts. Woonhwi blurted out a shocked, what? While Sodom threw a ghostly tantrum, complaining they would have cooperated earlier if the old geezer had just said that. Woonhwi was baffled, wondering why on earth he would agree to work with him. Sodom, on the other hand, smiled broadly. It is interesting, isn't it? Woonhwi nervously stuttered. I see, but why? Hey Action instantly roared. I will break your legs if you ask any more questions. HMPH, just because I gave you some leeway, do not you dare ask me unnecessary questions. Woonhwi's face went completely blank, exhausted by the sheer lunacy of the situation. Hey Action grumbled that he assumed Woonhwi would finally follow his orders. Staring out toward the cave entrance, the elder commanded, Firstly, start from feeling the innate core energy. If you are able to feel it, then come back to my place. Woonhwi simply replied, Yes, sir. As Hey Action marched out of the cave, he threw one last threat over his shoulder, warning that any tricks would result in far worse than broken legs. Sodom floated beside Woonhwi, watching the towering man leave. She hummed thoughtfully, This is just my instinct. But I think that old man likes you. Woonhwi shuddered in disgust, begging her not to say such horrifying things, as he had absolutely no intention of getting closer to a crazy old man. Turning his attention to the macabre skeleton sitting on the carvings, Woonhwi noted he needed to examine the details of the martial art first. When Sodom asked if he intended to use it, Woonhwi pragmatically replied he would use it if required, but learning it was the primary hurdle. He stared intently at the black sword resting in the skeleton's bony lap. If one could learn cultivation techniques or martial arts just by looking at the instructions, he reasoned, why would anyone need a master? Far away, Hey Action soared through the sky, leaping effortlessly across the jagged mountain peaks. A proud, sinister smirk crossed the elder's face. He admired Woonhwi's grit and intelligence, thinking it was a pity the instructions were incomplete. As he descended towards a lush valley, Hey Action muttered that if the technique had been whole, it would have been an incredible boon. Because while it uses up innate core energy, he mused, that martial art is a secret technique that all martial artists would love to know about. Back in the cave, Won Wei let out a gasp of pure shock. Impossible. Sodom floated closer, asking what the problem was. Won Wei's mind raced with excitement. If he learned it completely, he could prevent the deadly consumption of his innate core energy. A wicked, hopeful grin stretched across Won Wei's face. Sodom gasped in realization. This meant there was no chance he would die from a depleted core. Sodom pumped her little fists, cheering that this truly was a jackpot. Won Wei chuckled, telling her not to celebrate just yet since he had not finished reading the instructions. Tracing the ancient script with his eyes, he read aloud. Let's see. Use internal energy destruction to destroy your energy core. He continued deciphering the faded carvings. Locate origin energy, and lastly, a sudden string of confusing realizations hit him like a brick wall. Won Wei's hopeful expression completely flatlined. The last part is missing. The crucial final step on how to maintain the innate core energy was nowhere to be found. Sodom's jaw dropped in disbelief. What? Won Wei's eyes widened as the pieces fell into place. He remembered the old man's ominous phrasing from earlier. The memory of Hey Action offering him the choice to learn this and die slowly burned in his mind. Won Wei ground his teeth in pure rage. That bastard! He knew this was not complete. Defeated, Won Wei slumped to the floor, cursing the old man and wondering what he was supposed to do with incomplete instructions. Suddenly, a raspy voice echoed in the cave. Hey, rascal, why are you so sensitive? How would I know that? Startled, Won Wei looked at his ghostly companion, asking what she was talking about. Sodom, equally annoyed, clarified she was not the one speaking. No, I am talking to this thing. It had an outburst of rage after you called it a skeleton. Won Wei stared at her in total bewilderment, whispering her name in a daze. He asked incredulously if she was able to talk to the dead skeleton. Stomping the air in frustration, Sodom yelled, You idiot! I am not talking about the skeleton but the sword. Pointing aggressively at the dark, ornate iron sword clutched by the skeletal remains, Sodom suggested that he just talk to it himself. In the dim cavern, the small ghost girl floated near the massive dark sword. Won Wei asked, Wait a minute, are you talking about this iron sword? The ghost girl tilted her head and replied, Are you conversing with it like you're conversing with a human? She scolded him, saying, You idiot, the iron sword and I are not talking like humans. She gestured toward him enthusiastically, adding, You're the special one who's able to hear the voices of swords. Won Wei pointed at his own face, utterly dumbfounded. I am special, he murmured, he thought. The voices of swords, I see, that's what the sword mind meant in the sword immortal's secret record. He examined his glowing palm, realizing the truth. He thought, secret martial art manuals usually have instructions that are vague, so that's why it's described as sword mind. It was literally the voice of swords, he muttered. He looked toward the blade, wondering, This is dub. I wonder what kind of powers I'd get after the rest is made available. The ghost girl pointed at the giant iron sword. She said, Stop dreaming and talk to this sword. She floated closer, adding, I guess this sword is also fascinated by the fact that you can hear us. Won Wei reached out and firmly gripped the enormous hilt of the weapon. All right, he replied calmly. Instantly, a purple-haired spirit emerged, clinging tightly to the sword's sheath amid a comical illusion of blooming red roses. The spirit sighed happily. I haven't felt the touch of a human in a long time. Whoa, Won Wei shrieked, stumbling backward in a panic away from the skeletal remains nearby. The ghost girl yelled, Dude, don't make strange noises. The purple-haired spirit quickly retreated, pointing awkwardly at the iron blade to change the subject. I apologize for that, the spirit said. The spirit smiled brightly, hovering in the air. You're Won Wei, right? He asked. You really can hear my voice. Floating beside the dark pillar of the sword, the purple-haired spirit formally introduced himself. Let me introduce myself. I'm Southern Heaven Iron Sword, he stated proudly. He explained, It's the name that my master that passed away, Southern Heaven swordsman Ho Jiangdi, gave me. Won Wei stared with intense focus, a bead of sweat trickling down his face. He thought, Of course I'm surprised. There was a time when the Southern Heaven swordsman was known for turning the whole of Yunnan province upside down with a single sword. Won Wei visualized the legendary swordsman standing proudly. He mused, if he hadn't suddenly disappeared, he would have been one of the top Central Plains martial masters by now. There were even rumors that he might have become the 9th top Central Plains martial master, he recalled. Looking down at the decaying skeleton draped in tattered robes, Won Wei felt a deep sense of pity. He wondered, how did someone like him end up in a nameless mountain peak in Guangdong province, and dead like this? Won Wei turned to the spirits and asked, Did that crazy bastard Hey Action do this? The iron sword spirit laughed softly, dismissing the idea. No, it was someone else, he said. Hey Action has never won against my master even once. Won Wei pictured the hulking beast of a man, genuinely shocked. He thought, one of the blood cult's 4 supremes, Hey Action, never won against the Southern Heaven swordsman even once. Staring at the grim skull, the mystery deepened. Won Wei thought, but who was able to kill such a high-level martial master that even Hei Action couldn't win against? The Iron Sword spirit quickly shut the conversation down. "I'll tell you about that later," he said. "Don't you have something more important to do right now?" Won Wei blinked in surprise. "You're not going to tell me now?" he asked. Yeah, I do." Looking at the martial arts markings etched into the cavern floor, the spirit said, "I know what's happening because I was listening to you guys. You need to learn this technique, innate energy cultivation technique, and fight with Hei Action's twins." Won Wei closed his eyes gracefully and nodded. "You'll know if you have seen," he murmured. "I know," he replied confidently. Won Wei's eyes snapped wide open as the spirit unexpectedly declared, "Yeah, I'll teach you the cultivation technique." Won Wei echoed in disbelief. "You know." The ghost girl quickly intervened, floating between them. "Wait, is it okay for you to agree so quickly?" she asked. "This is a matter that involves the honor of my master, the Southern Heaven Swordsman." The Iron Sword spirit floated near the skeleton with a solemn expression. "If you lose because you didn't learn my master's martial arts properly, my master's honor will be sullied, Won Wei," he warned. The spirit smiled gently, glowing with ethereal light. "And I hope that my master's martial arts can be passed down to the next generation," he added. "That's my desire." Won Wei smirked, feeling a surge of respect. He thought, "This guy is so damn cool." Out loud, he said, "Thanks, Southern Heaven Iron Sword. I hope we work well together. All right, shall we negotiate then?" Won Wei suddenly froze, his confident expression dropping. He muttered, "What, negotiate?" The spirit delivered his condition bluntly. "Become my new master," he demanded. The spirit elaborated on his true intentions. "While my master's honor is important, since I'm a sword myself, what's more important to me is that I don't lose the purpose of my existence," he explained. Dramatically hugging his own shoulders, the spirit cried out amidst a shower of imaginary roses. "And I've been really lonely this whole time," he wailed. "Sai, I want you to become my new master, touch my sword sheath every day, and touch my sword body." Disgusted, the ghost girl launched a flying dropkick right into the Iron Sword spirit's face. She shouted angrily, You're so annoying. You're making all swords look weird, you bastard." The two spirits bickered violently in the background, as Won Wei looked on with a completely deadpan expression. Won Wei stared blankly at the chaotic scene. He seriously reconsidered his life choices, thinking, "Shall I just give up on the cultivation technique?" The wind howled softly through the eerie, jagged stone pillars of the cavern. Putting the weirdness aside, Won Wei firmly grabbed the hilt of his own sword. "I'd like to become your new master," he declared. He glared sharply at the dramatic purple spirit. "But if you flare up your nostrils like a pervert or make strange requests to ask me to touch you, then I'll just give up on learning the cultivation technique," he warned. The spirit looked slightly disappointed but quickly cleared his throat. What a pity." "I mean, all right," the spirit conceded. "Let's start learning the cultivation technique now." Won Wei stood ready in the center of the cavern. The spirit began the lesson, explaining, "The place that people usually call the energy core is the essence below the stomach. The lower energy core and the innate core energy are in different areas." Pointing to his own chest, the spirit instructed, "You need to feel the innate core energy with your chest." He added, "My previous master called the center of his chest the middle energy core." Won Wei frowned in utter confusion. He thought, "Middle energy core? I'm hearing this for the first time." He asked, "If there's a lower and middle energy core, then there must be a higher energy core, right?" The spirit tapped the center of his forehead knowingly. "He said that the upper side in the middle of the forehead is the upper energy core," the spirit explained. "It's said to be the area of mind enlightenment." Won Wei closed his eyes, focusing deeply. The spirit continued, "What's important now is to feel the innate core energy within the middle energy core. It's nothing difficult. You just need to feel the origin energy of life." "How do I feel the energy of life?" Won Wei asked. The spirit rubbed his chin thoughtfully. If it's hard for you to feel it by imagining it, experiencing it with your 5 senses might be faster," he suggested. "With my 5 senses?" Won Wei repeated, puzzled. The spirit nodded gravely, a serious aura surrounding him. "The energy of life is most easily noticed in extreme situations or when your life is in danger," he explained. "You gain strength that you don't have or feel a strong heat energy surging from your chest," the spirit said. Won Wei's eyes widened in sudden realization. He realized, that's the sensation of the innate core energy. Won Wei recalled Hei Action brutally beating him and the Song brothers. He thought, that wasn't just to train my body. He was trying to help me learn what innate core energy feels from the start. He immediately rejected the idea, thinking, that's probably not it. He also beat up the Song brothers like crazy. The ghost girl enthusiastically added, there was even one guy that went bald. Won Wei sighed and stammered, right. He's really an enigma, that weird freak. The spirit observed him closely. I don't know what happened to you, but it seems like you felt the sensation of the innate core energy before, the spirit noted. Won Wei nodded in agreement. Yes, I think I've felt it before, he replied. In that case, try remembering the sensation, the spirit encouraged, holding his hand open. The situation, emotions, and sensation that you experienced at that time. Woonhwi narrowed his eyes, plunging deep into his memories. The spirit's voice echoed, "Remember the moment when your desire to live was the strongest." A flood of desperate, bloody memories washed over Woonhwi, from near-death battles to agonizing pain, culminating in his fierce resolution to survive at any cost. A bright light flared within him as he thought, "Is this the innate core energy?" He touched his chest, feeling a powerful, familiar warmth. "This lump of hot energy," he muttered. "It's strangely familiar." The ghost girl floated beside him excitedly. "Didn't you say something like that before, too?" she asked. "When you swallowed the blood parasite and when your eardrums burst, didn't your chest feel hot, too?" Woonhwi realized she was right. "Oh, right, that's right," he agreed. The spirit looked deeply impressed. "That's surprising," he admitted. "My previous master struggled for several months just to feel his innate core energy. You're really amazing for being able to do it in 4 hours, Woonhwi." Woonhwi was stunned. "The high-level martial master Southern Heaven's swordsman took a few months?" he asked. The ghost girl chimed in. "I guess you can feel it better since you died and came back to life." The spirit nodded toward the corpse. "Died and came back to life, that is an impressive metaphor," he said. "No, he really died and came back to life," he clarified. Electric blue energy sparked around Woonhwi as the spirit instructed. "Try focusing on the innate core energy now. You'll feel the small lump of innate core energy, the size of a fingernail in your middle energy core," the spirit continued. Woonhwi concentrated but frowned. The size of a fingernail?" he questioned. The spirit reassured him. "You can't feel it, it's okay." The spirit smiled with a comforting gaze. "If you learn the innate energy cultivation technique, you'll be able to grow that essence," he promised. Woonhwi interrupted quickly. "That's not what I mean." Woonhwi held out his glowing hand, looking confused. "I am sure it's around 2 fingers big," he stated. The spirit stared at him, absolutely paralyzed with shock. The spirit drifted closer, visibly baffled. "That's not possible, though. How strange," he murmured. "You must have been mistaken." Regaining his composure, the spirit added, "Using the accumulate gate, you'll be able to flow core energy through the pericardium meridian and control the innate core energy." The spirit pointed toward a massive, imposing stone wall in the cave. "Try punching that stone pillar in that state," he commanded. Woonhwi looked down at his bare, fragile fist, then back at the jagged rock. He muttered skeptically, "This looks really tough." "It's okay even if your hand is crushed because the innate core energy will help you recover," the spirit assured him breezily. The ghost girl pumped her fists and added with a grin, "There's no guarantee that'll happen, but there's a good chance it'll happen." Woonhwi sweat dropped and replied, "You guys are saying it so easily because it isn't your own fist." Woonhwi steeled himself, his eyes hardening with determination. He thought, "So what if I can't meet their expectations? Being able to use martial arts again is good enough for me already." He planted his foot firmly on the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Intense blue energy gathered around his clenched fist as he wound up for a powerful punch. He thought, "Let's see just how strong I am now." His fist collided with the rock face, unleashing a massive shockwave that violently blasted the thick stone into a million scattered chunks. The two spirits stared with bulging eyes, completely flabbergasted by the sheer destruction. The ghost girl gasped, "Amazing! Is that the power that the innate core energy possesses?" Dust settled around a massive, smoking crater blown straight through the cave wall. The spirit thought in awe, "I've never seen this before. Even though my previous master's innate core energy was great, it wasn't this great." Woonhwi stood calmly before the shattered rock. The spirit told him, "With this much innate core energy, you can learn mystic arts that's related to the cultivation technique 10 years faster than usual." Woonhwi stared into the distance, as memories of his past lives and fierce battles echoed in his mind like a decade of endless warfare. The spirit asked quietly, "So, Woonhwi, did you really reincarnate? It's like you've gone through life and death situations for 10 years. Woonhwi looked at his trembling, unharmed hand in sheer disbelief. He whispered, "I am not dreaming, right?" Brilliant blue energy swirled seamlessly over his open palm. He thought, a smile creeping onto his face, "This is way better than I imagined." He confidently gripped his sword, a powerful aura radiating from his body. He proudly asked himself, "Is this really the strength that I have?" The imposing beast of a man, clad in a tiger pelt, glared down with piercing eyes. "Useless fool," he scoffed into the night. With a heavy stomp, the bearded giant pinned him to the rocky ground. "You dare to try and escape?" he demanded. Crushed against the earth, he stammered, calling him sir, and gasped out that it was a misunderstanding. He protested, "Even though I have been climbing up and down cliffs for 2 months. How could I, someone who does not have any decent mobility arts, be able to come back on time?" The giant stared down at him from the towering, moonlit cliffside. The old man gripped his face tightly with a terrifying squeeze. "HMPH, then you just had to move faster, did you not?" He gritted his teeth, agonizingly thinking that he would have reached on time if he had started to move half a day earlier. With his heavy boots still pressing down on his head, the giant asked, "So, did you feel your innate core energy?" "Why are you not saying anything?" the brute growled, narrowing his intense blue eyes. I am asking if you felt your innate core energy. The young man swallowed nervously, avoiding eye contact. About that, he mumbled. Battered and kneeling on the cold stone floor, he looked down in defeat. The giant asked in disbelief. Not only did you not feel your innate core energy, you did not feel anything at all. Retreating into the shadows, the huge man sat back with a low chuckle. Well, I guess that is not something you can feel in a day, cuckoo. The floating spirit crossed her arms and asked, why were you not honest with him? Massaging his bruised cheek, he thought. I can only survive if I hide at least 60% of what I am capable of. He reminded himself that whether it is the Murim or anywhere else in the world, it is always disadvantageous to show all your cards. He wiped a bead of sweat from his bruised face. And I was able to make sure of something just now, he thought, recalling the deep, knowing eyes of the giant. It is just like the Southern Heaven Iron Sword said, one cannot find out about the other's innate core energy unless they intentionally gather it. The elder sat menacingly on his wooden throne. I was almost deceived by you, cuckoo, he laughed as a chilling aura filled the cavern. Leaning forward with a sinister grin, the giant rumbled. It seems you are trying to avoid using your core energy to extend your lifespan. He chuckled darkly, adding, I guess I have to help you realize that you need to be taking this seriously. All right, if you lose the fight, I will hand you over to Captain O, the elder declared. A dark figure loomed in his memory, sending a chill down his spine. Captain O? He asked nervously. Yeah, the giant affirmed. After I brought you here, he came looking a few times. The elder stood towering at the edge of the cliff. I did not really listen to what he said, but he seems to want you back. His expression darkened instantly. That obstinate bastard is still on to me, huh? He thought bitterly. The elder grabbed a heavy wooden box with a solid thud. The twins told me that he has got his eye on you, he explained. If I let him know that you do not have the blood parasite, you will be a basic rank warrior for the rest of your life. The giant stepped closer, his heavy footsteps echoing. Panicking, he cried out, Sir, is not that different from what you promised me? A terrifying, toothy smile stretched across the elder's scarred face. That was before you tried all sorts of tricks to avoid fighting properly. Cuckoo, do not you feel some motivation to learn how to feel your innate core energy now? Sweat trickled down his face as he thought. That is how you are going to be, huh? The elder sneered. I have got something prepared for you too. Feigning innocence, he smiled nervously. Sir, you said you will kill me if I lost, but what if I won? Is not there any reward for winning? The giant pulled out a small book with a soft sliding sound. Cuckoo, you are gutsy as usual, he grinned. All right, if there needs to be something in order for you to feel motivated, then I will fulfill one of your requests, but that is only if you win. 2 books were tossed onto the floor with a sharp slap. Read them and get familiarized, the elder commanded. You will be learning these martial arts in the future. He picked up the top book. The spirit peered over his shoulder and noted, that is the Battle Chakram Warrior's Light Chakram art. He thought in relief. I did wonder how I was going to fight when all I knew was the cultivation technique. I guess this is how I will fight. The giant stared down at him. While I am unable to know the energy circulation technique that Skeleton used, the light chakram art is quite a balanced energy circulation technique. He nodded, stating, you will be able to learn most martial arts without much issues. The spirit hovered close to his face. The twins have always been taught this, so do not complain of any unfairness, he thought. Ho, he is actually trying to help you fight in an even match as much as possible. He picked up the second moss-green book. And the other book, he murmured, staring at the faded cover. Luminous Star Sword Technique. The elder pointed at him. That sword technique belonged to the skeleton. I mean, that is the sword technique your master used. Shock rippled through him as he clutched the manual. That means this is the Southern Heaven swordsman's sword technique. But it is strange, the spirit remarked with a puzzled look. Why would Hei Action have the Southern Heaven swordsman's secret martial art manual, he thought, now that she mentioned it. Did he search through the corpse or something? The giant roughly grabbed his head and shook it. What is with that sour face? Are you not happy? The boy flinched, stammering to ask how that could be. Still holding the book, he looked up nervously. It is because I have got a question, he hesitated. Sir, why do you have this secret martial art manual? The elder's face went completely blank, his bearded jaw setting in tense silence. His mouth twisted into a strained grimace, making a soft clicking sound as he ground his teeth. Someone gave it to me, the elder muttered defensively. Suddenly, another spirit glowing with purple energy materialized. That is a lie. I was wondering who stole it. I guess he was the thief, she announced. He tried to use the luminous star sword technique to defeat my previous master in a fight with it. The boy gripped his sword tight, sweat dropping from his brow. He stole it, he asked. The white-haired spirit smirked and said, Wow, I guess this old geezer really wanted to win, huh? Standing inside the rocky cave, the purple spirit asked, Did Hei Action say he will show you how the luminous star sword technique is done? He nodded. Yeah, he said he will show it to me once every day for 3 days, starting tomorrow. The purple spirit brought a hand to her chin thoughtfully. If he is going to show it to you, then that means he has completely memorized the sword technique, she concluded. He must have used its movements to complement his own martial arts. And the twins will probably appear in the fight after learning the improved martial art, she warned. The image of the two muscular fighters dramatically tearing their shirts open flashed before them. The boy stared blankly at the old book in his hand, while the white-haired spirit floated nearby in silence. Cheap bastard, he thought. He gripped the book tightly, creasing the cover. I thought that he unexpectedly tried to make the fight an even one for me, he reflected, but I guess it cannot be helped that there is a difference. The white spirit puffed her cheeks angrily. He is a really strange bastard. How would the fact that he lost to the Southern Heaven swordsman change by doing this? He sweat-dropped and replied. Well, it is not like he has been normal before. The purple spirit interrupted. It is because my previous master, the Southern Heaven swordsman, has died. A fierce memory of a blazing clash between the giant and a swordsman in a bamboo hat appeared. The Southern Heaven swordsman had fought countless fights with Action, but they have never been able to settle the score once and for all, the spirit explained. Now that my previous master is dead, there is no way to find out who is superior, so he is trying to win using such a method. Turning to the spectral skeleton, he pointed out, What? Did not you say that Action was unable to win against Zhangdi even once when we first met? The skeleton retorted. I meant that they drew the fight. I did not lie. He tucked the book into his robe with a swift motion. No matter what happens, this can only be settled when I lose, huh? He mused. Sighing, he placed his hands on his hips. Since there is still time, I will think about what to do, he declared. The white spirit perked up. How about doing this? You lose the iron sword while fighting, then use 8 lightning short sword technique to win them, she suggested enthusiastically. He sweat-dropped. If I use the short sword, Action would probably say that is not counted, though. The purple spirit stepped in, her eyes glowing. No, Woonhwi, you need not worry. Gesturing to the imposing skeleton, she revealed, the luminous star sword technique that he stole is the version that my previous master has not improved. A vision of a lone swordsman training by a misty waterfall appeared. After my former master lost his secret manual, he proceeded to improve his sword technique. The boy unleashed a flurry of rapid, flowing strikes, his blade glowing with energy. Each of the existing sword technique's moves had shown several weaknesses in its movement, the narration echoed as he slashed. While the old and new moves are exactly the same, the flow of each move was enhanced, and that is how it was improved. Breathing heavily, he wiped his brow in the dappled sunlight of the forest. Phew, he exhaled. Looking at the worn manual resting on a massive tree stump, he noted, I understand what you meant now after using the improved version, he added. While it is similar to the sword technique written in the secret manual, there is definitely a difference. The purple spirit floated elegantly beside him. If he had not stolen the secret manual, my previous master would not have thought of improving it. He smiled slightly. I guess it was a blessing in disguise. The white spirit waved her hands frantically. I am sorry for ruining the atmosphere, but will not that crazy old man be taken aback if you use the improved sword technique? He will probably question you on why you did not do as he said, she warned, as the terrifying visage of the giant roared in his imagination. It is indeed true that it would be hard for someone who has barely learned the sword technique to be able to improve it, the purple spirit agreed. Drawing his sword with a metallic ring, the purple spirit continued. Since improving the sword technique is something that is only possible for someone like my previous master that has a talent with swords. He glanced back, thinking, Bastard, you trying to compare me with your previous master, huh? He sighed. What a dilemma. If I lose, then I will be a basic rank warrior for life, and if I win, I will be questioned. But you will definitely lose if you do not use the improved sword technique, the white spirit pointed out. He grinned confidently. I know, that is why I must use it. He chuckled, closing his eyes in smug satisfaction. What? What are you thinking of doing? The purple spirit asked. He held up a hand. I have got my ways. Walking along a rugged mountain path, the spirits trailed behind him. I wonder if it will really turn out well, the purple spirit mused. You guys are talking among yourselves? He asked aloud. Quickly correcting himself, he said, It is nothing. No one would lose to the same trick twice, right? I just need to make use of that. The lush, towering mountains stretched far into the distance under a bright blue sky. 2 dark silhouettes stood ominously at the entrance of a glowing cavern. A sinister chuckle echoed, Hoo-hoo-hoo. A man with a scarred eye smirked menacingly. So Woonhwi, I will definitely get you this time round, he scoffed. I do not know how he got so lucky and became Elder Action's servant. He patted his companion's shoulder. But now that I have brought someone that can replace him, he will never escape from me. Doyun, when you meet him, show him the abilities of an advanced rank warrior. The younger man cracked his knuckles with a bone-chilling snap. His eyes were cold and dead. Kill him, a dark thought echoed in the air. Yes, sir, he replied dutifully. A stern-looking warrior with a sword strapped to his back stood firm as he announced, Long time no see, so clan so Woonhwi. Woonhwi quickly bowed, respectfully greeting the 2 men. Intermediate rank cadet So Woonhwi pays my respect to you, Captain. The gray-haired captain smirked. Be at ease. It seems you are doing great as the elder's slave. The glowing spirit girl popped up behind Woonhwi asking, Is he that Captain O that you spoke about previously? Woonhwi clasped his hands and thought bitterly, Yeah, he is totally out to get me. The captain stepped forward, glancing behind him. But who is that guy behind him? Did Captain O bring him along? Unsheathing his glowing blue blade with a sharp scrape, Woonhwi said smoothly, Supreme Elder will be late. It seems you are here to supply rations. If you pass the rations to me. Captain O suddenly injected his energy into Woonhwi's body. Woonhwi winced, thinking, This bastard. He suddenly used core energy on my body. The captain retracted his hand with a satisfied smirk. Ha, I knew it. I thought there was something special about you since the Supreme Elder brought you away. Your destroyed energy core is as it is. Woonhwi observed quietly, thinking, It seems even if he uses core energy on my body, he is unable to detect my innate core energy. Captain O patted the new cadet's shoulder. As of this moment, he will be serving the Supreme Elder instead of you. He who is an advanced rank cadet will be able to serve the Supreme Elder much better than you can. Squeezing the cadet's shoulder, O continued, And I do not know how you convinced the Blood Wolf Squad, Captain, but there is no one that has ever seen your grandfather in Yuleng County. Woonhwi sighed internally, frustrated. I need you to come along with me to the Six Blood Valley to undergo an investigation, O demanded. Woonhwi thought, he is seriously persistent. I cannot believe he is trying to get credits this way. If he practiced martial arts this persistently, he would have had great success with it. Putting on a facade of innocence, Woonhwi clapped his hands together. There is a misunderstanding, Captain. My grandfather had to keep the fact that he was from the Blood Wolf Squad a secret. How would he be able to show his face to anyone? The advanced cadet glared with pure malice, thinking, Arrogant bastard. This is great. I will take this chance to teach you a lesson to not be arrogant and also leave a good impression on the Supreme Elder. Captain O barked, Du Hyan, teach him a good lesson. I will take responsibility for this. The cadet immediately stepped forward with a loud thud. As you command, Du Hyan replied, preparing to strike. Woonhwi sighed helplessly in his mind. Is this how it turns out in the end, huh? It has become troublesome. Du Hyan cracked his neck with a sickening pop. While I do not have any grudge against you, I cannot let such a good opportunity slip by, so bear with it even if it hurts a little. Woonhwi narrowed his eyes. This bastard, he totally thinks I am weaker than him. With a sharp whoosh of wind, Du Hyan threw a fierce punch straight at Woonhwi's face. Woonhwi swiftly leaned back, dodging the strike with ease. Du Hyan's eyes widened in disbelief. What? He muttered, caught completely off guard by the evasion. Even Captain O gritted his teeth, visibly stunned. What? He growled. Woonhwi narrowly analyzed the strike. This is the basic fist technique of a blood cult warrior, 8 blood fist. His posture is perfect as expected of an advanced rank cadet. As the shadow of the attack loomed over him, Woonhwi's confidence surged. But he looks too slow in my eyes. While I did attain 2-star in the luminous star's mystic art, I didn't expect an advanced rank cadet to be so weak compared to me. Suddenly, a terrifying dark aura erupted behind Du Hyan. A monstrous voice roared, How dare you try to kill my slave? Du Hyan froze in sheer terror. Du Hyan trembled violently, a terrified shriek escaping his lips as cold sweat poured down his face. He stuttered in panic. Heek. The massive Supreme Elder grabbed Du Hyan's head with a sickening crunch. The Elder's eyes glowed red with demonic fury as Du Hyan stammered, Sir, I pay my respects. Woonhwi stood in shock, completely bewildered as the Elder squeezed the bleeding cadet's head. Woonhwi watched the brutal scene unfold, letting out a heavy groan of disgust and disbelief. The Elder's grip tightened and Du Hyan screamed in agony. Who are you? The Elder barked. The terrified Captain O hurriedly replied, Sir, it is me. I am Captain O who is serving under the Destruction Blood Squad commander. The Elder glared menacingly. You are but a mere captain, yet you dare to make trouble in front of my abode. Captain O quickly pleaded, Sir, that is not it. Woonhwi stood alongside the spirit girl, watching the Elder casually drag the 2 men away. He thought to himself, to think he would render a first-rate martial master immobile in an instant. This is what being strong looks like, huh? It would be hard to become as strong as that crazy old man even if you trained until you shit blood out. The spirit girl scoffed, folding her arms. I know that without you having to spell it out for me. Woonhwi's attention shifted as he noticed someone approaching. Yo, Yuleng County's good for nothing. Woonhwi greeted the 2 muscular brothers approaching him. I heard you have been learning sword techniques recently. Have you been doing well? You look pretty good. The brothers walked up, one of them pointing past Woonhwi. Hold up, isn't that Captain O? Song Jae Wabik, Song Woohyan. Woonhwi observed their toned muscles with amazement. It has been only a few days, but their bodies have gotten way stronger. Just how harsh was their training? The brothers flinched back in shock upon noticing a crushed body on the ground. Whoa, that startled me. Why is there a corpse here? One of them yelled. Woonhwi thought, and what kind of suffering did they go through? Woonhwi and the brothers jumped as a desperate plea echoed out. Sir, please hear me out. Captain O desperately tried to explain, "The origins of that bastard are unknown. Please allow me to look into him." The elder brutally slammed his hand into O's face with a heavy crash. "Not interested," the elder spat. Blood spurted from Captain O's mouth as his eyes rolled back from the devastating impact. The elder grabbed O's unconscious body by the collar. "I told you that I wasn't interested in your mumblings before, and yet you brought another person here." The elder casually tossed O's limp body onto the dirt with a loud thud. "Seeing as how he brought someone to replace you, you must have really struck a nerve," the elder noted. Won Wei replied coolly, "When I was kidnapped, I actually killed 2 of Captain O's subordinates." The brothers gasped in shock. The elder scoffed, looking down at O's body. "Sai, you killed his subordinates? His subordinates are such fools. How did they get killed by someone who doesn't even have internal energy? They deserve to die. It's natural for the weak to die. That's to be expected." Looking at the unconscious captain in disgust, the elder ordered, "What a sore eye! Bring him down the cliff and throw him away somewhere." Won Wei and the brothers were stunned. Wabik asked, "You want us to do it?" Won Wei muttered, "We could just throw him off the cliff, though." The elder turned his terrifying gaze toward them. "Do you want me to do it myself, then?" Wabik panicked, quickly grabbing the body. "Yes, sir. Woohyun, go bury him in the forest." Won Wei smirked darkly at the situation. "Ku, you've got yourself in a real sticky situation, since you've been targeted by that kind of stray dog." The elder flashed a sinister, toothy grin. "The strength of those kinds of stray dogs is that they never let go after they bite onto something. Ku. Such an opportunity won't come again anytime soon, don't you think so?" Won Wei rubbed his chin, pondering. "Opportunity." Won Wei patted Wabik's shoulder as he carried the heavy body. "Song Wabik, let's go down together." Wabik grunted, Hoisting the captain securely, Wabik confidently replied, "I don't mind, but can you catch up?" Won Wei sighed nonchalantly. "If it looks like you might run out of strength in the middle, I'll help you carry him, so." Before Won Wei could finish, his eyes widened as a sudden gust of wind blew past him. Wabik was already sprinting down the sheer face of the cliff with insane speed, laughing maniacally. "Haha, you're so freaking slow, so Won Wei." Won Wei stood in awe, stammering out, "What is with that bastard? He's running on the cliff like hey action." The spirit girl appeared beside Won Wei. "How about you learn some Kingong as well?" Won Wei thought eagerly. "That would be great. If I learned the Southern Heaven Swordsman's Kingong, would I be able to run like him too?" Down below, Wabik cheerfully demanded to his own spirit companion, "Hey, Southern Heaven, tell me about the Southern Heaven Swordsman's Kingong." The little spirit giggled, clinging to his leg. "Ah, of course, I'll teach you his Kingong too." The spirit girl gritted her teeth in annoyance. "But running like that on a cliff this steep is impossible unless you're using Hey Action's unique Kingong. Even my former master was impressed with Hey Action's unique Kingong." Won Wei watched Wabik descend like a blur. "What is happening behind?" he wondered before realizing. "He's definitely strong. I can see that clearly." Kicking off the edge, Won Wei began his own descent down the jagged cliff. "In any case, I need to hurry up and get moving. Wabik, that bastard. I wonder if he understood what the Supreme Elder said." Wabik dumped the unconscious Captain O onto the dirt floor of the forest with a heavy thud, wiping sweat from his brow. "Phew." Wabik stretched his neck, looking around the peaceful woods. "I think it'll be all right if I throw him down here. Now, shall I finish him?" Won Wei finally arrived, sliding to a halt and immediately blocking Wabik's foot from stomping the captain. "What are you doing?" Won Wei asked. Wabik scoffed. "Are you finally here? Right, you wanted to help me." Wabik's eyes burned with frustration. "That crazy old man was talking in circles, wasn't he? I was just in need of something to vent my anger on. This is great." Wabik glared down with malicious intent. "I'll make sure to break his legs so that he'll retire for sure." Suddenly, he flinched. Caught entirely off guard, Wabik blurted out, "What?" Won Wei shoved Wabik back forcefully. "Hey, what are you doing right now?" Wabik demanded. Won Wei stood his ground. "I think you're mistaken about something here." Won Wei glared sharply at Wabik. "Do you think that old man would simply stop at just breaking his legs?" Realization struck Wabik as he stammered. "Could it be he wanted us to kill him?" Won Wei remained calm as Wabik defensively asked, "What, are you feeling sorry for him?" Unbeknownst to them, Captain O's eyes slowly snapped open, blazing with hidden rage. "What nonsense is that?" Won Wei retorted. "Get lost. If you can't do it, I will." With brutal swiftness, Captain O launched a devastating strike at Wabik with a heavy slam. Wabik was sent flying through the forest, crashing through the brush in a massive shockwave. Won Wei turned in horror. Won Wei cursed, his heart pounding. "What did you fucking bastards say? Damn it." Captain O stood up, wiping blood from his chin, cracking his neck left and right. Captain O woke up, Won Wei thought in panic. Wabik, that bastard, did he not block Captain O's acupoints on his way down? Captain O let out a sinister, manic laugh, his eyes glowing with murderous intent. "Ku. So this is how you're playing this, huh? I'll make you regret for missing your chance to kill us. So clans, so Won Wei." The burly martial master descended from the cliffside, chuckling ominously. "Hoo-hoo-hoo." What are you intending to do with that sword? Won Wei crouched low, his blade glinting in the forest sunlight. With a fierce dash, the master threw a heavy punch, taunting, "Do you think someone who doesn't even have internal energy could slash me?" Won Wei's eyes widened in intense focus as a brilliant surge of blue energy quickly coated his blade. They clashed violently. Won Wei met the much larger man's fist with his glowing sword, sending a massive shockwave ripping through the trees. The master's eyes bulged in utter disbelief. He thought in shock, what? A powerful gust of wind blew Won Wei's hair back as he pushed against the strike. He thought desperately, how are you able to do that? The master recoiled sharply, attempting to block Won Wei's sudden, fierce downward slash with his bare hands. Dark blood sprayed from the master's mouth, and he let out a deep, agonizing groan. Won Wei completed his fluid swing, blood trailing from the edge of his blade as he held a wide, firm stance. I landed the hit, Won Wei thought, eyes wide with adrenaline. I infused internal energy into it. Floating beside him, the little spirit noted, "That is pretty impressive since it is your first time using it." The spiritual guide warned him softly, "But don't let your guard down yet, Won Wei." She continued, "Your opponent is a first-rate martial master. It's not an exaggeration to say that this is where the real fight starts." The master clutched his bleeding chest, thinking with a stutter, "I'm certain that." He had no internal energy when I checked him with my innate energy. His eyes narrowed in pure, unadulterated fury as he thought, "So how?" He then screamed in a sudden burst of rage. With a swift swish, Won Wei leaped high into the air, readying another devastating strike from above. The proud master threw himself into the dirt, executing a humiliating, lazy donkey roll, tumbling desperately to dodge the attack. Won Wei's blade slammed into the earth where the man had just been, kicking up a massive cloud of dust as the master shrieked in terror. Sweating heavily and panting, the master thought, "Damn it! Even though that was really dangerous, I can't believe I used the lazy donkey roll while fighting a kid like him." Won Wei stood tall, enveloped in a fierce, glowing blue aura. The master pondered nervously. How is he able to have so much power without an energy core? He's dangerous. I need to kill him now. His eyes glowing ominously in the shadows, the master snarled, "So Won Wei, I'll definitely kill you." Suddenly, a battered man lying on the ground jolted awake. He mumbled in total confusion, "What?" He rubbed his bruised head, muttering, "Huh?" Then he looked up to see a fierce clash of energy unfolding right in front of him. The master yelled, "Captain O!" When did he wake up? As he traded heavy blows with Won Wei. The captain watched in disbelief, thinking, and how is Won Wei fighting on par with him? Won Wei grunted under a brutal strike, gritting his teeth as the sheer force sent him flying backward. He crashed violently into the side of the cliff, rocks and debris exploding outward from the thunderous impact. The spiritual guide cried out anxiously, "Won Wei, are you all right?" Won Wei wiped his mouth, thinking, "I'm okay. Luckily, I was able to avoid internal injuries." He looked at the bloodied but imposing master, thinking, is this what the skills of a first-rate martial master is like? He's on a totally different level compared to an intermediate-rank warrior. The spirit reassured him, "But you managed to land that first hit, so he's not in perfect condition." The little guide added enthusiastically, "Yeah, if you drag out this fight, we'll have the upper hand." Won Wei smirked, thinking, "A prolonged fight. All right, shall we give it a try then?" Suddenly, the master charged toward the fallen Captain O. The captain shouted in alarm, "Get away from there, So Won Wei." Out of nowhere, Song Jae-wabik leaped in with a powerful flying kick, roaring, "You did great holding on without me. From now on, I, Song Jae-wabik, will show you what I'm capable of." The master casually swatted his leg aside. "You're in the way," he spat, as Jae-wabik froze in sheer, wide-eyed terror. With a brutal backhand, the master sent Jae-wabik flying. "Wait for your turn quietly. You don't need to rush to your death. I'm going to kill you right after I kill So Won Wei," he mocked. But suddenly, the master's face twisted in shock as a swift, desperate punch landed solidly on his jaw. It was Jae-wabik. Even while falling backward, he threw a vicious counterpunch. The master stumbled, groaning, "Bastard." Won Wei watched in awe, he thought. That looked pretty painful. To think he'd endure that pain and launch a counterattack, that was really incredible. Jae-wabik wiped the blood from his mouth, grinning like a complete maniac. "HMPH, compared to the Supreme Elder's fist, that punch is way too soft. Brace yourself, Captain O." He lunged at the master with wild fury, yelling, "I'll pay you back for humiliating me during the selection test." The master grunted under the fierce assault, muttering, "You bastards." But in a flash, the master retaliated, spitting a blinding stream of dark blood directly into Jae-wabik's eyes. Jae-wabik shouted in surprise, "What?" The master seized the opening, his fist gathering an immense glowing green energy. "Persistent bastard, I'll kill you first," he roared. Won Wei gritted his teeth, panic setting in. He thought, shit, that fool. Jae-wabik, blinded by the blood, frantically wiped his face. He thought helplessly, it's impossible for me to stop Captain O's attack. Just before the fatal blow could connect, Won Wei dashed past Jae-wabik with blinding speed, entirely dodging the master's devastating strike. His mind raced as he moved. He thought, I'll go past Jwabi, dodge Captain O's attack, use that moment where there's an opening. He roared inwardly and land a good hit. Won Wei unleashed a massive sweeping strike, pinning the master against a giant tree with an earth-shattering impact. The sheer force of the blow drove the blade straight through the massive tree trunk, bursting out the other side. Sweating profusely, Won Wei stared at his target thinking, I had thought that'd be a fatal hit. But the master merely laughed, blood dripping from his mouth. Kyukuku, with this I've sealed your sword and right arm's movements. He grabbed the embedded blade tightly. I'll crush your arm like this, so Won Wei. Without hesitating, Won Wei drew a second blade with his left hand. The guide cheered, Sodom, now's your turn, oh nice. Blood streaming down his determined face, Won Wei yelled triumphantly. 8 lightning short sword technique is a technique that I can use with either hand freely. Yeah, that's right. He smiled confidently, his eyes razor-sharp. He thought, with this, I can definitely. To his horror, the master caught the second blade with his bare hand. Won Wei trembled, thinking, damn it, he blocked this too. The master smirked. Kyukuku, how unfortunate, so Won Wei. Bright green energy flared intensely from the master's iron grip. Won Wei gasped inwardly. He still has this much energy left. Panic filled Won Wei's eyes as the pressure built. He thought, damn it, this technique having just reached 2 stars isn't enough to take him down yet. The master laughed maniacally, his eyes gleaming. It seems you're out of tricks now. Won Wei grunted in pain, thinking, it feels like my insides are being turned inside out because of his energy. Suddenly, the spirit guide yelled out, grab the short sword, so Won Wei. The master's smug expression turned to panic as the blade began to glow erratically. He stammered in fear, wait a minute, let that go, so Won Wei, stop. Without warning, a flurry of crimson blade slashes erupted, tearing through the master's back in a spectacular spray of blood. Jwabi had struck from behind. The master coughed up a huge amount of blood, his face twisted in sheer agony as he groaned heavily. Defeated at last, he collapsed entirely, sliding down the cliffside and crashing heavily into the dirt. Won Wei finally relaxed, his breathing heavy and exhausted. The guide noted, it's over. It'd have been dangerous if it weren't for Jwabi's kick. Won Wei agreed mentally, yeah, this'd have ended differently if I had fought him alone. Jwabi was furious, shouting, that darn bastard dare cough blood in my face. Won Wei glanced at him sideways, thinking, this should be his first time killing a person, though. Jwabi pointed at himself proudly. Did you see that? You owe me your life. Won Wei deadpanned internally. He's not bothered by it at all. Out loud, he stammered slightly. Yeah, a first-rate martial master was indeed kinda strong. Jwabi crossed his arms, staring Won Wei down confidently. I heard you're going to fight me later. While it's unfortunate for you, I'll be winning that fight. Won Wei glanced back at the fallen master's body, thinking, only then can I become that crazy old man's disciple formally. Hey, Action offered that to him, huh? Jwabi forcefully patted Won Wei's shoulder with a cocky grin. I heard you requested to get something from him when you win. Don't you think you did something unnecessary there? You're talking like you won already. Are you confident of backing that sentence up? Jwabi smiled menacingly. Of course, if we both fight, do you think you'll be able to even land a scratch on me? Won Wei challenged him. Shall we make a bet then? Jwabi raised an eyebrow, intrigued. A bet. Won Wei smiled confidently. The person who loses will become the winner's subordinate. I'm confident about myself. What about you? Jwabi scoffed, turning to walk away toward the cliff. HMPH, all right, just you wait and see. I'm going up first. Won Wei sighed in exasperation, calling out, what? We need to take care of all these before you go up. I'll see you later, Jwabi yelled as he leaped up the treacherous cliff face with powerful, bounding steps. Won Wei sighed softly, thinking, that petty bastard, becoming the subordinate of the future black-white twin demons, that sounds tantalizing already. Southern Heaven, Won Wei called out softly. The glowing spirit appeared right beside him, replying, yeah, you called. Won Wei rubbed his chin thoughtfully, asking, you said Hey Action's Kingong is way better than Luminous Star Mystic Arts Kingong, right? The guide nodded. Ah, yes, I did say that. The guide elaborated, when it comes to Kingong, Hey Action is better at it. Won Wei smirked, a cunning glint shining in his eyes. I see. He recalled Jwabi showing off his jumping skills and thought to himself, should I go with that then? My wish. Heavy footsteps echoed as a subordinate entered the sunlit cave. Sir, I finished what you've asked me to do, he reported. Hey Action's fierce eyes locked onto him as he gruffly replied, good. Startled by a sudden question, the subordinate broke into a sweat. Action demanded, why did you come back alone? The man quickly defended himself, saying he came up first because the other guy's Kingong was quite slow. Won Wei landed gracefully in front of the cave with a soft rustle. The subordinate scoffed. He hasn't even learned Kingong properly, so wouldn't it be impossible for him to catch up to me? He should be here in 30 to 45 minutes. Hey Action suddenly grabbed the man's head, analyzing him. Looking at your irregular breathing, it seems you've suffered internal injuries, he said coldly. The man gasped, confused, as Action pressed. Who did the killing? The man confidently claimed, I did. Action patted his head with a heavy thud. Yeah, that should be it. It seems you landed the critical blow, Action said, while gritting his teeth in frustration, thinking that So Woonwi was right. Action tightened his grip on the subordinate's head, grinning maliciously. You were up against a first-rate martial master. You only ended up with just those injuries because there were the two of you, he deduced, adding with a dark chuckle. So Woonwi must be in a mess, huh? Suddenly, Action's eyes widened in utter disbelief. Woonwi strode casually into the cave with a light step, looking completely unfazed. Sir, I've taken care of Captain O as you've instructed, he announced. Furious at being proven wrong, Action crushed the subordinate's face in his massive hand, barking, Training time will be increased from now on. The man yelped and stuttered, asking what he meant. Woonwi watched calmly as the terrified subordinate desperately pleaded. Sir, this is a misunderstanding. I was the one who did most of the fighting. He simply threatened Captain O in his injured state. Cutting off the pathetic excuses with a sharp swoosh of his hand, Woonwi glared coldly and commanded, Shut up. The subordinate was violently hurled out of the cave, crashing into the dirt with a heavy thud. Woonwi watched the man tumble, thinking to himself that now that he thought about it, he had suffered a lot too. I think he'd get beaten less if he didn't make any excuses, though, he pondered. Action glared at Woonwi. What are you looking at? If you're done with your reporting, then get lost, he growled. Unfazed, Woonwi respectfully replied, Yes, sir, but I'd like to talk to you about the wish I mentioned earlier. Action side-eyed him skeptically. Are you talking about that one thing you'd like to get if you won the fight? He asked. Sure, let's hear it. Placing a hand on his chest, Woonwi spoke smoothly. It's nothing grand, but I've always admired your skill in being able to go up and down the cliffs with ease. Action flashed a wild, jagged grin. Skill? Are you talking about my Kingong? He bellowed with laughter. Woonwi nodded calmly, adding that if he really didn't want to, it was okay, but he'd like to learn that skill of his. Still amused, Action easily agreed. All right, I'll promise you that. Woonwi immediately bowed with a crisp rustle of his clothes. Thank you. I'll submit to the blood demon, may blood rule the world, he chanted. The blue spirit hovered nearby, noting that his easy agreement showed just how confident he was that they wouldn't lose the upcoming fight. Holding up 3 thick fingers, Action warned, the fight will take place 3 months later. While Captain O is dead, the disadvantage that you'd get if you lose the fight is still in effect. Woonwi respectfully bowed his head low. Action's booming voice echoed, You better train like you might die. Woonwi firmly replied, I'll bear that in mind, sir. You can go back to your abode now, Action dismissed him. I still have training to do with these 2 bums. Woonwi smirked behind his clasped hands. Yes, sir, he said aloud while thinking triumphantly, that Kingong technique is mine now. Later, kneeling by a clear forest stream, Woonwi splashed cold water on his face. The purple spirit floated down softly, asking, How do you feel about using the luminous star mystic art for the first time in battle? Woonwi sighed, admitting he somehow managed to kill Captain O. Catching his breath, water dripping from his chin, Woonwi noted that the first attack had landed a bit too easily. It's probably because Captain O suffered internal injuries when Action struck him unconscious, he reasoned. The purple spirit crossed her arms and nodded wisely. It's as you've said. While it's not a technique by itself, it was one of the 18 basic sword movements. A dark, bloody vision of a devastating sword strike flashed in his mind. The spirit stated proudly, My previous master would have killed him in 1 slash. Sweating, Woonwi thought, He's that strong, you're comparing me to your previous master again. The blue spirit chimed in cheerfully, throwing up 2 thumbs. In any case, you won, didn't you? She said. Now that you've gotten rid of one troublesome fellow, you can just focus on your training. Woonwi forced a tired smile and agreed. Woonwi drew his sword with a sharp metallic ring and stood firm on the rocky ledge. There's 3 months until the fight, he said, gripping the hilt tight. Based on how Jawabik fought today, he won't be an easy opponent for me. Woonwi swung his blade through the air with quick slicing sounds. But are we going to just train sword movements today as well? He asked. The purple spirit nodded, replying that of course they were, reminding him that without the basics, his techniques would just be a mere sword dance. Until the basics are ingrained into your body, we won't learn any techniques, her voice echoed firmly. As Woonwi intensely practiced his swings, the 2 spirits floated behind him, exchanging curious glances. But Southern Heaven, the purple spirit suddenly said. The blue spirit replied, The blue spirit nervously rubbed her neck, sweating slightly. You know how Woonwi requested to learn the old man's Kingong? She asked delicately. She tried to comfort her companion, saying not to feel too upset about that, as he only wanted to learn it because he just started learning martial arts. The purple spirit blinked, genuinely confused. Did I look upset? She asked. The blue spirit leaned in closer, surprised, and replied, You weren't upset. Waving her arms frantically, the blue spirit explained. I mean, Woonwi is technically the successor of the Southern Heaven swordsman, right? But yet he's trying to learn the Kingong of the Southern Heaven swordsman's archenemy. The purple spirit touched her chin thoughtfully. I guess I could feel upset if I actually think from that perspective, she admitted. But Her voice trailed off as she watched Woonhwi push himself to the absolute limit, his blade slicing through the air with relentless speed, mirrored by the brutal, lightning-fast strikes of Hei Action in his own intense training. She noted that while Woonhwi was inheriting her master's techniques, he wasn't a replacement for him, and it was natural for a martial artist to seek strength. Meanwhile, back at the harsh cliffs, Jwabik was getting brutally beaten by Hei Action, enduring a flurry of heavy, bone-crushing blows. Jwabik was launched backward, crashing into the hard dirt with a painful thud. Action stood over him, an imposing mountain of a man, and growled, "You fool." Staring down at his battered disciple, Action sighed in disappointment. "I've already shown you the luminous star sword technique personally," he said coldly. "Where the hell is your mind at?" Woonhwi is currently training by himself with just 2 secret martial art manuals, Action continued, comparing the two. But yet he had suffered no internal injuries after the fight with Captain O. Jwabik's eyes widened in pure shock against the orange sunset, and he stuttered in disbelief that it was impossible, claiming he saw him get beat up a few times. Without hesitation, Action whacked Jwabik right on the forehead with a thick wooden stick with a sharp crack. "Do you think I'm unable to tell if he's suffered internal injuries?" he barked, interrupting Jwabik's excuses. Gripping the stick, Action's eyes glowed with fierce intensity. "You should know better since you fought alongside him at close range," he lectured. "Did you not find out what he's truly capable of because you've underestimated him?" Jwabik clutched his bruised head, gritting his teeth in frustration as Action mocked that he simply wasted the opportunity handed to him on a plate. Humiliated, Jwabik stuttered out a soft curse. Meanwhile, Woonhwi stood unharmed, focused entirely on his training with the secret manuals. Trembling with jealousy, Jwabik tightly gripped his torn pants. "He's forever comparing me to Woonhwi," he thought angrily. "I'm going to win. I'll make sure I win." Shaking off the pain, Jwabik stood up and bowed firmly before his master. "Sir, please show me that technique again," he pleaded with renewed fire. Hei Action cracked a wide, terrifying grin. "Kyukuku, you still want to see it despite getting beaten up so many times?" he laughed menacingly. Clenching his fists and stomping the ground with a loud slam, Jwabik roared. "This level of training is nothing to me. I, Song Jwabik, will definitely show you that I'm in a totally different league as compared to someone like Woonhwi." Before he could finish his fiery declaration of defeating Woonhwi, Action casually backhanded him into the rock wall with a loud, bone-rattling crash. Jwabik yelled out in pain, complaining that he was still talking. Towering over the trembling disciple, Action calmly advised, "If you've really resolved to give it your best shot, then you should use actions and not words to show it." Sweating profusely, Jwabik nervously stuttered a promise that he would definitely do that. Jwabik gasped in anticipation as Action suddenly changed his tone. "All right, now that we're over the training of showing my technique, I'll teach you that," the master declared. Jwabik's pupil dilated in sheer shock. He stuttered, asking if by that he meant what he thought he meant. In his mind, he wildly celebrated, assuming the elder had finally chosen him as a true disciple. Instantly doing a perfect handstand on a sharp rock, Jwabik yelled, "I'll work myself to death, master." Action immediately shut him down, asking coldly who said he was taking him in as his disciple. Ignoring the boy's antics, Action stared out at the fiery sunset, his silhouette casting a long shadow. "All submit to the blood demon, may blood rule the world," he declared with booming reverence. Down below the cliff, a man knelt respectfully. "Destruction Blood Squad Commander Gu Sangwung pays my respects to you, Supreme Elder," he shouted. Action glanced down and bluntly replied that he could have just left the rations at the entrance. The commander looked up, his face tense. "Yes, sir, I just wanted to ask if Captain O and a cadet visited you today," he inquired cautiously. Action's face hardened into a terrifying scowl. "I don't know who that is. Leave now," he commanded, ending the conversation instantly. Releasing a wave of suffocating bloodlust that rattled the very air, Action glared down. "Are you bothering me over just a mere squad leader?" he boomed. Terrified, the commander quickly left and never came back to ask about the missing men. Time passed. Deep in the freezing, snow-covered mountains, Woonhwi sat perfectly still beneath a massive, rushing waterfall. With his sword strapped to his back, Woonhwi breathed steadily, completely ignoring the biting cold as thick frost gathered on his clothes. Suddenly, with sharp, jagged cracks, the massive ice block above the waterfall began to fracture. A colossal chunk of solid ice broke completely free, plummeting straight down toward the meditating swordsman with a terrifying swoosh. Woonhwi remained completely calm, his eyes shut tight, as the deadly shadow of the ice boulder eclipsed the sun above him. In a split second, his hand shot up and gripped the frost-covered hilt of his sword with a sharp clack. In one fluid, explosive motion, Woonhwi drew his blade and launched a brilliant, glowing arc of energy upward, splitting the massive boulder clean in half. The two halves of the ice shattered into a million sparkling shards, raining harmlessly around him as he seamlessly completed his follow-through stance. As the ice dust settled, the purple spirit critiqued strictly, "Still not good enough. Your posture is unstable from time to time." The blue spirit defended him, arguing it looked good enough to her. Woonhwi sheathed his sword with a crisp click, telling them to stop squabbling, and that being cold-hearted was needed when it came to training. With a steady breath, his boots crunched against the icy ground. "All right, then," he muttered to himself. Standing tall against the bright, open sky, his intense gaze fixed on the horizon, Woonhwi cracked his knuckles. "Shall we get going?" he asked confidently. "To the location of the fight." The icy winds howled around him, carrying his determined words across the frozen landscape. He marched forward, leaving behind the shattered ice and fully prepared for the brutal challenges ahead. His heavy boots left deep imprints in the snow as the spirits floated silently behind him. With 3 months of grueling training finally complete, Woonhwi was ready to prove his strength. A freezing wind swept across the serene, snow-capped mountain peaks. Trudging through the deep snow, Woonhwi asked, "Southern Heaven, be honest with me. What level do you think my sword techniques are at now?" The purple spirit replied dryly, "Still not good enough. You can only do about half of what my previous master could do." Looking at his scarred hand, the spirit added, "But it's pretty incredible growth considering it was done in 3 months. You did great." Woonhwi smiled humbly. "This is all thanks to your guidance." The white spirit Sodom popped up playfully, pointing at herself eagerly. "What about me?" Woonhwi cast a side glance, replying flatly, "Oh, well, you too." Sodom glared, visibly fuming. "Don't you dare reply to me so dryly, trash Woonhwi." Woonhwi sweat dropped, thinking, "She's putting insults in front of people's names now." He sighed aloud. "An uncouth short sword, what you looking at?" Sodom flailed wildly in the air. Woonhwi gripped his hilt, stating firmly, "Even though you're using the luminous star sword technique to fight this time round, burn this into your mind." Flashing back to their brutal skirmishes, Sodom yelled dramatically, "That all the battles you've fought until now, we killed 3 people, was done by me." Woonhwi halted, irritated. "But the fight this time round is a spar. Sodom, it's not for me to kill my opponent." The tiny spirit huffed, snapping, "Do you think I don't know that?" Pressing his hand forward, Woonhwi groaned. "Enough with the useless talk." He turned his focus back. "Southern Heaven, I only learned 3 sword techniques in the last 3 months. Can I really win?" Southern Heaven replied steadily, "Don't worry. You might not be at my previous master's level yet, but if we're just considering sword techniques, you've almost perfected them. It's better to focus on just 3 of them, rather than make a half-assed attempt at learning every single technique." Woonhwi straightened his posture, looking resolute. Southern Heaven reassured him, "You're definitely strong enough. Woonhwi, be confident." Meanwhile, Sodom sobbed dramatically in the background, wailing, "I won't forgive you." A confident smile spread across Woonhwi's face. "All right, thanks, I'll do my best." Woonhwi approached a giant, beastly man sitting atop a snowy crag. The towering figure chuckled darkly. "You're here early, Q-Cuckoo." Elder Hay Action flashed a terrifying, jagged grin. "I'll give you praise for not running away. Cuckoo, are you ready, though?" Woonhwi cupped his fists respectfully, bowing slightly. "We'll only know that after I fight, won't we?" The 2 spirits gasped in shock. Woonhwi whispered softly, "Guys, look at that." 3 imposing men stood before them in the snow. 2 incredibly buff twins flanked Hay Action, who crouched menacingly in the center. Woonhwi stared at the first twin. He thought, Song Jae-wabik, his muscles have gotten even bulkier. Is that an effect of Hay Action's martial arts? What kind of training did he go through to get such a body? His gaze shifted to the sparkling bald head of the other twin. He thought, Song Woo-hyun, his bald head is even shinier now. Is that an effect of Hay Action's martial arts? What kind of training did he go through to get such a head? Facing the terrifying trio, Woonhwi thought to his spirits, the twins look stronger to you too, don't they? I don't think that's all, though. Hay Action pointed a massive finger, declaring loudly, the rules are simple. You cannot surrender, and you'll fight until one side can't fight anymore. The elder's eye glowed with deadly intent. It doesn't matter if you die in the middle of fighting. Woonhwi didn't flinch, responding calmly, all right, who will I be fighting? Song Jae-wabik stepped forward, spreading his thick arms wide. Of course it's me. Woonhwi sighed in relief. Luckily, it isn't a 2-versus-1 fight. Jae-wabik cracked his heavy steel gauntlets together with a metallic clank. Woonhwi's eyes narrowed as he thought, but what's that? Jae-wabik smirked confidently. What are you staring at? It wouldn't be fair if I fought bare-handed when you're using a sword, right? It's nothing serious, though. Elder Action seems to have used this when he was young. Woonhwi drew his blade with a sharp metallic ring, azure energy bursting forth. While you're right, it seems to be quite a decent tool for defending against my rusty iron sword, huh? Gesturing provocatively with his fingers, Woonhwi mocked. Well, even though Elder's unique martial art, Black Iron Breakthrough Fist, increases your physical abilities already, I guess that's still necessary for a fair fight, right? The spirits floated behind him, realizing the strategy. They thought, he's subtly looking down on Hay Action's martial arts. Jae-wabik completely fell for the taunt. Veins bulged on his furious face as he roared, Yaowu. Kicking off the ground with immense force, Jae-wabik charged. Here I go! Woonhwi lowered his stance, readying his blade. Woon Wei tightened his grip, observing the reckless charge. He thought, how simple. If you're charging in first, then I have to make use of the distance advantage that I have as a swordsman. The two warriors barreled toward each other in the snowy valley. Woon Wei calculated coldly, the moment he enters into my attack range. Swinging his sword in a wide, luminous arc, Woon Wei shouted, Luminous Star Sword Technique. First technique, Tiger Force Sword. The blinding blue energy blade crashed heavily against Jwabik's steel-plated bracers with a deafening screech. The sheer impact sent Jwabik skidding backward across the shattered ice. Hey Action watched silently from his rocky perch. Hey Action stroked his beard, smirking. He thought, HMPH, Tiger Force Sword. It seems he has been practicing hard based on how he's using it. Woon Wei pushed forward, sparks flying from the clashed weapons. The elder mused, but he won't be able to win at that level though, would he? Jwabik caught the glowing blade in his gauntlet, a dark, ominous aura radiating from his eyes. Gotcha! Yulang County's good for nothing. Pulling his fist back, Jwabik threw a devastating punch, screaming, Eat this. Woon Wei barely dodged, the shockwave tearing past his face. He gasped, How's that? Jwabik mocked ruthlessly. Reminded of the past, aren't you? Jwabik swung his ironclad fist once more, roaring out, Die. Jwabik's face contorted because of Woon Wei's kick, slamming on his chin. Woon Wei performed a desperate acrobatic flip to evade the crushing blow, grunting, Ugh, as snow exploded around them. He landed heavily, boots carving deep grooves into the icy ground as he was pushed backward. Narrowing his eyes, Woon Wei quickly analyzed the distance. He thought, I barely gained some distance, using this chance. But before Woon Wei could steady himself, Jwabik lunged forward again, closing the gap with terrifying speed. Jwabik kicked off a frozen tree trunk, launching himself like a cannonball. He delivered a brutal flying knee kick that Woon Wei barely blocked. Woon Wei winced, thinking, how could a swordsman be so cheap and use his legs? Sliding to a halt, Woon Wei smirked through his heavy breathing. Your internal energy increased so much compared to how it was 3 months ago. Did you eat something like an elixir or something? Jwabik panicked, sweating profusely as he stuttered, Elixir? Nonsense. This is all because I did a great job at learning Elder Action's martial arts. Woon Wei noted internally. Look at his eyes, trembling. He's the kind that can't lie. Woon Wei's smile widened, filled with dark realization. He thought, well, I had forgotten the meaning of why we're even fighting in the first place for a short while. A grim memory surfaced in Woon Wei's mind. 10 years later, along with his twin brother. The image of a terrifying future Jwabik loomed over them. He'll become one of black-white twin demons, the strongest within the blood cult. Jwabik laughed arrogantly. Woon Wei stared at him, reflecting. He might look like a fool now, but the blood cult must have invested both material and mental support in him. Woon Wei's expression hardened into deadly seriousness. He thought, it's not only just martial arts, but everything else is also disadvantageous for me. He spoke aloud. I was wrong. Jwabik waved his hand dismissively. What? You were wrong? Are you intending to surrender? Woon Wei squared his shoulders, energy flaring. I'll go all out now. Jwabik's arrogant smirk vanished instantly, sensing the overwhelming shift in the air. With blinding speed, Woon Wei unleashed a devastating flurry of azure slashes, slicing through Jwabik's defenses and sending him crashing against the cliffside with a sickening spray of blood. Hey Action jolted upward in shock. Coughing up blood, Jwabik looked utterly bewildered. He stuttered in sheer panic. What is happening right now? Woon Wei followed through seamlessly, leaving a brilliant trail of light in his wake. Jwabik scrambled, terrified. I couldn't see anything at all. Hey Action ground his teeth so hard they audibly cracked, his eyes locked on the sudden massacre. Watching the elder's reaction, Woon Wei thought, Hey Action. He might be acting like he's okay on the outside, but his expression has stiffened. Surging forward through the bitter snowstorm, Woon Wei pointed his glowing blade forward. He declared fiercely, How does it feel for the tide to have been overturned? Didn't see this coming, did you? It's still too early for you to be surprised. This is where it really starts. A booming voice echoed through the area, again. Song Jwabik took a heavy blow from a wooden club, groaning, Kug. The massive, bearded elder Action stood over him menacingly. You fool, do you still not understand? He scolded. In order for a fist to be able to fight against a sword, you must get closer every time your opponent makes a move with his sword in order to deflect it. Jwabik clutched his bruised head, tears welling in his eyes. Ouch, I know that, sir, he complained. However, the attack you used is so fast that I can't even see it. Action raised his club high with a ferocious roar. You can't see it, then I'll beat you until you can see it, Jwabik screamed in sheer terror as the club came crashing down. Lying beaten and bloody on the icy ground, Jwabik thought, I know it since I've been beaten by Luminous Star Sword Technique so many damn times. That attack just now was definitely Void Flow Slash. His eyes widened as realization struck him. But that's on the same level as Elder Actions, he thought. No one taught him, but yet he's able to become this strong. Standing over him with an imposing aura, Woon Wei called out, Hey, Song Jwabik, why aren't you getting up? Have you given up? Jwabik pushed himself off the snow, his pride wounded. He stuttered, "Who says I'm giving up?" He then roared, "This is nothing to me. Damn you so Woonwi, a good-for-nothing dares mock me." The memory of Action's brutal training flashed through his mind. "I was trained by Supreme Elder Action himself," Jwabik yelled. He remembered the relentless daily spars. "I experienced the luminous star sword technique every single day," he stated confidently. He recalled hauling massive boulders through the frozen wasteland. "And trained like hell," he added. Pointing a fierce finger at Woonwi, Jwabik declared, "I won't let my guard down again. I'll fight you at my full strength. Bring it on, asshole." Watching from the sidelines, Elder Action let out a dark, amused chuckle. "Q-cu-cu," he laughed. The purple-haired girl observed. Song Jwabik was able to successfully inherit Hey Action's martial arts. The white-haired boy beside her asked in awe, "Is he indestructible? How could that attack only leave a scratch?" The girl narrowed her eyes. "In that case, I guess Woonwi can only follow the plan." With a blinding flash of light, Woonwi and Jwabik clashed, their power erupting across the snow. Woonwi swiftly slid backward, dodging a heavy punch that shattered the icy air. Woonwi's hand tightened around the hilt of his sword. He drew the blade with a sharp, piercing sound. Jwabik watched Woonwi's stance carefully. "Once the energy is gathered, it'll soon roar," he thought. "That's the luminous star sword technique, first technique." Woonwi swung a massive crescent of blue energy. "Tiger Force Sword," he shouted. Jwabik braced his armored arm, absorbing the impact with a heavy thud. He thought, "All right, while it's hard to see all its trajectory, I'll be able to block it if I know what kind of moves it'll be. I did get hit a few times, but they only scratched me. I can move just fine." Woonwi fell back, analyzing the situation. "Even if I go all out, he already knows what the moves are like so he can easily block them," he thought. And he also did a great job at learning Hey Action's Kingong. He launched another rapid assault. "It's not easy to shake him off. Shall I just focus on attacking instead then?" he pondered. Woonwi sent another brilliant blue wave forward. Jwabik's eyes tracked it. "Tiger Force Sword again?" he thought. As the attack landed, Jwabik calculated his opening. "The Tiger Force Sword uses a fierce pressure to subdue its opponent," he thought. "But in between moves, there are parts that allow me to close in the distance." Jwabik lunged forward, his fists deflecting the blade. "I'll slowly get closer," and then launch a flurry of punches. Woonwi shifted his grip, changing his style. "The time to flip the tables is near," Jwabik thought. "This is the luminous star sword technique, third technique." Swirling trails of blue energy erupted from Woonwi's blade. "Void Flow Slash," Woonwi muttered. Jwabik charged straight into the chaotic flurry. "Void Flow Slash uses unpredictable, lightweight attacks to confuse its opponent," he analyzed. "Instead of deflecting them one by one, I'll just go in head-on and stick close to him." Deflecting the strikes, Jwabik smirked triumphantly. "All right, it worked." Woonwi quickly leaped back to create space. Jwabik grinned. "Trying to gain distance? So Woonwi, this is so obvious." Jwabik unleashed a massive downward punch. He thought, using the other hand and horse stance to gain balance. That's the luminous star sword technique, second technique. The hidden toad slash, where the user would take on their enemy's attack and then counters in a burst. Jwabik's foot slammed into the ground, disrupting Woonwi's stance. "But the hidden toad slash won't be able to bring one down if its user isn't able to predict their enemy's attack trajectory," Jwabik thought. Seizing the opening, Jwabik roared, "Ha!" His fist glowed brightly. "His balance has collapsed, now's the chance," he thought excitedly. With a devastating uppercut, Jwabik launched Woonwi into the air. Jwabik smiled widely, relishing his success. "Destruction of the luminous star sword technique complete," he gloated internally. Woonwi landed roughly, skidding across the ice. Jwabik taunted, "What will you do now, so Woonwi? I know all the weaknesses of the luminous star sword technique, so it doesn't work against me." The purple-haired girl thought proudly, "Great job, Woonwi. Although you had a harder time than expected, the plan is pretty much a success at this point." The white-haired boy cheered, "Nice, nice. Let's start the counterattack." Woonwi groaned inwardly. "I'm the one who needs to get beat up and fight, you know." Woonwi gripped his aching chest with a pained smile. "While I braced myself for this, it still hurts like crazy," he complained. Soothing blue energy enveloped Woonwi's torso. "Those kinds of wounds can be healed quickly with the innate energy cultivation technique's innate core energy, right?" he thought. "But I'm the one who feels that pain." Woonwi stared down his opponent. "In any case, with this, I've shown him that the luminous star sword technique that's written in the secret manual has been defeated," he strategized. Charging back into the fray, Woonwi thought, "If I still use the technique that has been defeated as it is, I'd be an idiot. Even if I use the improved luminous star sword technique now, I can just say that I made it up on the spot because of the current disadvantageous situation, and they won't be able to find faults with it." Jwabik raised his fists, laughing arrogantly. "You fool, go ahead, try and attack me again." Suddenly, Jwabik's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. He stuttered, "What?" Woonwi's blade moved with blinding, unpredictable speed. Jwabik panicked. The void flow slash's movements became even sharper. Jwabik desperately tried to block the overwhelming barrage, groaning, "Cug." Elder Action gasped in shock, thinking, the moves changed. Jwabik gritted his teeth and yelled, "Bastard, what the hell did you just do?" Won Wei smiled wickedly. "I changed the luminous star sword technique a little since you managed to block it so well. Do you like it?" he asked. Jwabik stared at Won Wei's glowing blue eyes. He made changes to the moves on the spot, Jwabik thought, astonished. That sounds impossible, but it's happening right in front of my eyes. Jwabik took step after step backward under the relentless pressure. Damn it, the Tiger Force Sword's attacks have increased so much it's gotten harder to close the distance, he thought. He dug his boots into the icy ground to halt his momentum. But that doesn't matter, he encouraged himself. There'll be moments I can close the distance when he tries to deploy the Tiger Force Sword consecutively. Spotting a tiny gap in the assault, Jwabik rushed in. I'll close the distance at that time. Now's the time, he thought. He threw a devastating, explosive punch straight at Won Wei. Jwabik froze, realizing something was terribly wrong. This is, he mumbled. Won Wei gripped his glowing sword with both hands, bracing for impact. Jwabik saw it too late. He balanced himself by sticking out his left hand while gaining the distance, Jwabik analyzed in dread, and takes on the enemy's attack, the luminous star sword technique, second technique. Won Wei unleashed a towering pillar of crushing energy. Luminous star sword technique, second technique, hidden toad slash. Won Wei's arms trembled violently from the sheer force of the clash. He groaned, he thought. The hidden toad slash landed perfectly. Looking down at his bruised, aching hands, Won Wei wondered, but why did my hands take damage? It's as if I struck a lump of iron. He looked up, his face pale with shock. Song Jwabik, he whispered. Jwabik stood tall, golden energy crackling across his bare, muscular chest like glowing veins. Won Wei asked nervously, what's with that form of yours? The spectators gasped in shock as Won Wei casually lowered his guard amid the shattered, icy ruins, wondering what on earth he was doing. The little girl warned him, Won Wei, that strange-looking thing is the golden blood body. Won Wei repeated the strange name, his brow furrowing in confusion. Towering before him was a glowing, muscular behemoth. The onlookers screamed for Won Wei to get away from him, warning that the fight would be completely different now. Hey, so Won Wei, a deep voice rumbled. Won Wei's eyes widened. Before he could blink, Song Jwabik appeared right in front of him, taunting, Where are you looking? With a sharp whoosh, Won Wei barely dodged the incoming strike, crying out in sheer shock. Jwabik missed, but the shockwave of his punch tore through the air. Won Wei thought to himself that his opponent was incredibly fast, mostly because of his exceptional footwork. Blood trickled down his cheek. Won Wei realized that punch was just a warning, knowing he couldn't dodge an actual fist technique if it connected. Gripping his sword tight, Won Wei sighed that he didn't expect such a tough fight. He muttered, I need to end this now, as Jwabik charged with a terrifying grin. Won Wei leaped, unleashing a massive aura slash, while Jwabik countered with an explosive uppercut. A blinding flurry of rapid blue slashes descended upon the glowing brute. Jwabik crossed his arms, effortlessly blocking the barrage. He laughed, mocking the Tiger Force sword as completely useless. Undeterred, Won Wei swung down with a devastating, heavy strike. Jwabik slammed the frozen ground with brutal force, sending a shockwave that blasted Won Wei backward into the icy cliffs. Skidding through the debris, Won Wei coughed in pain. What an incredible power, he thought. He's become even stronger. Without missing a beat, Jwabik flipped high into the air, turning himself into a deadly human projectile. Screaming with primal rage, Jwabik crashed down like a meteor. A thunderous impact shook the icy wasteland. Won Wei barely caught the massive fist with the flat of his blade. Gritting his teeth under the crushing weight, Won Wei thought, I blocked it. I was barely able to create an opening for a counterattack. Dropping low, Won Wei announced his luminous star sword technique, executing the hidden toad slash with a swift upward sweep of brilliant blue energy. The sudden counter forced Jwabik to leap back as the ice beneath them violently exploded. Jwabik slid backward, carving deep, ragged trenches into the frozen earth. Blood leaked from Jwabik's mouth. He cursed under his breath, realizing he was running out of time. Stepping forward with a heavy thud, Jwabik smirked. He noted Won Wei's reliance on the hidden toad slash and prepared to change his tactics. With a thunderous explosion, Won Wei unleashed a massive wave of dark energy, shouting, How is this? Won Wei threw out a frantic wave of slashes, looking like a desperate distraction. But Jwabik ignored the blades. He charged in quick, directly grabbing Won Wei's glowing sword with his bare hands. Caught completely off guard, Won Wei stuttered out Song Jwabik's name. Jwabik leaned in, his glowing face contorted with madness. Are you okay? He roared. The two clashed wildly. Jwabik yelled, You're worried about me? Don't you act like you're better than me, good-for-nothing of Yuleng County. The purple-haired girl warned Won Wei to find a way to deal with him quickly. Won Wei silently agreed, knowing he couldn't last much longer himself. No, I'm not referring to you, the girl corrected, staring at the blazing berserker. I'm talking about Song Jae-wabik. She explained she had seen Hei Action's golden blood body a few times with her previous master. But, she noted, looking at Jae-wabik's torn, glowing back, his skin wasn't that swollen and it didn't fall apart in various places. As Won Wei dodged another lethal strike, she warned that this was the side effect of using a martial art way beyond what he could handle. She declared gravely he might die. Won Wei's gaze sharpened. He understood the stakes, but survival was looking completely impossible. He swung fiercely, thinking that even the Tiger Force sword and the Void Flow Slash weren't stopping the monstrous brawler at all. Won Wei narrowly deflected a flurry of explosive punches. It's possible for me to win by just dragging out the fight, he thought, but then he might actually die. Stealing his resolve, Won Wei decided he needed to win while ensuring his crazy opponent survived. With a sudden dash, Won Wei sliced deep across Jae-wabik's chest, drawing fresh blood. Spectators called him a lunatic. Won Wei thought, if I had stopped a little later, I'd have cut right through his chest. But Jae-wabik miraculously caught the flat of the blade with a painful grunt. Won Wei sweat nervously, desperately wondering what to do. As Jae-wabik reared his fist back for a killing blow, a sudden realization hit Won Wei. He remembered. Won Wei pushed forward, confident he knew exactly how to deal with this messy situation. A brilliant blue aura erupted from Won Wei's sword, flowing directly into Jae-wabik's gripping hand. Jae-wabik's crazed eyes snapped wide open in pure shock. The white-haired boy screamed, calling Won Wei an idiot for getting close to a fist fighter, but the purple-haired girl gasped, finally understanding his plan. He's trying to resolve this situation using an energy battle, she revealed, leaving the others completely dumbfounded. The two warriors locked hands over the sword, golden and blue energies clashing violently. Won Wei was matching Jae-wabik's energy to force him to release the golden blood body. The boy panicked, screaming that using innate core energy was suicidal. The girl replied that without the luminous star sword technique, it would have been certain death. An immense storm of spiritual pressure swirled around the two locked fighters, cracking the solid ice beneath their feet. Observers shouted that Won Wei was getting pushed back. "Look at their expressions," one commanded. Despite the monstrous pressure, Jae-wabik was panting heavily, while Won Wei remained calm. They realized Jae-wabik would undoubtedly exhaust himself first. The purple-haired girl watched with awe, impressed by his sheer determination to end the fight without killing. Won Wei groaned, muscles bulging against the golden giant's strength. Observers praised not just his martial arts, but his unwavering chivalry. With a confident smirk, Won Wei pushed back. If this continued, it was going to be his perfect victory. The muscular opponent flared his fiery internal energy, his face twisted in rage. "A fight with internal energy?" he scoffed. "How dare you play such tricks with me as your opponent?" Sweating heavily, the opponent stuttered with a manic grin. "Yeah, this is it. Bring it on." Won Wei watched closely, thinking, the golden blood body is being released, just a little more. Suddenly, Elder Hei Action intervened, blasting them both apart with a blinding shockwave of energy. The opponent slammed violently into the icy cliff, letting out a sharp grunt as rocks shattered around him. Meanwhile, Won Wei was pushed back, sliding smoothly across the snowy ground as he braced himself with his sword. Panting and clutching his chest, Won Wei glared at the elder. "Why did you suddenly get involved?" The Supreme Elder chuckled, a confident smirk beneath his thick beard. "I saved you from depleting your innate core energy, and that is what you have to say to me." Crossing his massive arms, the Elder declared, "Since no one won yet, this match will be a draw." Won Wei looked utterly dumbfounded, stuttering. "A draw?" The Elder ignored his shock, asking, "Why didn't you use the sword techniques according to the secret manual that I gave to you?" A bead of sweat rolled down Won Wei's cheek as he thought. This topic came up, huh? The Elder narrowed his eyes, his gaze piercing. "I am not that foolish," he stated flatly. "What?" Won Wei replied. The Elder stepped forward menacingly. "I know that you are fully capable of using the sword techniques within the secret manual. That means you also know how I will use those sword techniques and the weaknesses of it." "Ah, that is why you changed the sword techniques," the Elder pressed. Won Wei looked away, muttering, "That is right." The Elder raised an eyebrow. "Have you been taught by others before?" Unseen by the Elder, the ghost twins snickered behind Won Wei. "Who would dare to enter your territory?" they joked. Pinching his fingers together, the Elder scoffed. "Humph, I guess that is all you are capable of, though. I can see all your weaknesses." Won Wei fired back in his mind. "I intentionally made a few mistakes in case you pick on me more." The Elder leaned in, his expression turning deadly serious. "But do you know this?" Turning his back to the cold wind, the Elder continued. "Do you think the original owner would have neglected improving the very sword techniques that you know so well?" Suddenly his eyes flared with a terrifying red light. "Wouldn't he have improved it even more?" he bellowed, his voice echoing across the mountains. "Southern heaven." Calming down as quickly as he exploded, the Elder glanced back. "In any case, it is a draw, so this is voided." Won Wei stood his ground. "I would have won if we fought till the end." Gesturing to his unconscious opponent, Won Wei pressed. Can't you tell that from his current state? The elder scoffed. No one knows that. Won Wei gritted his teeth, his frustration boiling over. You are really too much. Do you really think that this fight is a fair one? He pleaded passionately. Please think about it. Pointing out the stark reality, he yelled. I only have half the cultivation technique. He remembered the dark cave and the skeletal remains where his journey had begun. And that guy who has inherited your martial arts, Won Wei continued, recounting the brutal clash, knows the weakness of my sword techniques. The memories of their blades colliding flashed before his eyes. He also consumed elixirs to increase his internal energy, he stated. The arrogant smirk of his overpowered opponent still infuriated him. Even wore a rare and precious gauntlet, Won Wei added, recalling how his strikes had bounced right off the heavy armor. But I still won in a fight, Won Wei declared proudly, remembering the satisfying moment his opponent finally fell. A fight that was set up for me to lose. Furious, Won Wei yelled, if you do not intend to acknowledge my win, then are you just asking me to die? Am I just a chess piece to you? Staring at the elder, Won Wei pushed harder. Do you think he would be a match for me if our fight was a fair one, if you hadn't helped him increase his internal energy or gave him the gauntlet? Instead of getting angry, the elder burst into a booming, belly-shaking laugh. Suddenly, a heavy force yanked the unconscious opponent across the ground with a loud scrape. The elder effortlessly lifted the massive man by the throat. You fool! Who gave you permission to use that? He growled. I am certain I told you that you would not be able to handle that. Squeezing tighter, the elder asked, well, it does not matter. Did I give you elixirs? Gasping for air, the man choked out. Aren't those pills you gave me every night elixirs? The elder squeezed the man's cheeks, laughing mockingly. You call that an elixir? You fool! If I had that many elixirs, why would I have given them to you? Tossing the man aside, the elder looked at Won Wei. Do you know why I taught them my martial arts, even though I have never done so before? It is because they have a body that is perfect for learning the golden blood body. The blood circulation of these two is faster than any other human, the elder explained. The elder crouched down, the glowing figures of the twins appearing in his memory. Their body type enables them to accumulate internal energy quickly. The defeated man stuttered. What about those pills? Striking the man lightly on the head, the elder explained. If your blood circulates too quickly before you completely learn the golden blood body, then it will become poisonous. Those pills were just to help you control that circulation. The elder then pointed a large finger toward Won Wei. And the weapon? Are you seriously saying that while not knowing the kind of sword you have? The blade of Won Wei's sword shimmered with a pale blue light. While it is old, it has got cold iron in it. It is an artisan sword that is way better than most, the elder noted. Won Wei swallowed hard, realizing his mistake. What he says finally does make sense, the ghost spirit whispered beside him. The elder flashed a wide, wicked grin. Well, you still were disadvantaged, though. Just like what you said, this fight was set up so that I would win no matter what. And you guys are just chess pieces for that, the elder said as an image of falling game pieces appeared. But you dared to trick me and almost won the fight. Looking down at the ruined, snowy landscape, the elder announced, the fight is void, and the deal is off. Won Wei sighed internally. In the end, I am just a one-time use chess piece. But then the elder dropped a bombshell. I will take that one-time use chess piece as my disciple. Won Wei's eyes went wide with shock. It would be too much of a waste to throw your potential away, the elder admitted. There are people who are exceptional in martial arts. They are known as martial art geniuses. When people teach them one thing, they learn way more all by themselves, the elder continued, clearing his throat. Such a talent would be hard to find. Basically, people like you. The elder huffed proudly. In any case, I have decided to take you in as my disciple. Won Wei rubbed his nose, thinking, I am flattered. I guess the power I got from my past was seen as pure talent to him. The ghost spirit gently corrected him. No, Won Wei, that is your talent. Won Wei smiled softly, thinking, yeah, do you think others in the world can hear what we say? Closing his eyes to hide his gratitude, he thought, thanks for saying that, guys, but it is still too early to relax. I need to ask him one last question. Won Wei looked up at the towering master. But Supreme Elder, even if I become your disciple, I cannot learn your exclusive martial arts, can I? Didn't you say that the golden blood body can only be learned by people like those twins, whose bodies have fast blood circulation? He pressed. The elder chuckled, pointing right at Won Wei. You ought to be thankful to me. I won't be teaching you fist techniques. I will help you complete your sword techniques. Do you know that the sword technique you learned belonged to my arch rival, the Southern Heaven swordsman? Won Wei gasped, his stutter returning from sheer shock. Is that true? Was that skeleton the Southern Heaven swordsman? In that case, this sword, was it also used by him? The ghost twins watched Won Wei's dramatic reaction. Didn't I tell him about who my former master was? The girl asked. He is just acting, the boy whispered back. Since it is his first time hearing this from Hey Action, he needs to act like it, the ghost boy explained. You should get used to it. Oblivious to the acting, the elder boasted. After the Southern Heaven swordsman died, I am the only one who knows his technique best. I will help you complete it. I do not really need his help, Woonhwi thought smugly. But then the elder added, and I am also thinking of fixing your broken energy core. Woonhwi's expression instantly turned serious. This is a good opportunity, the ghost spirit advised. You can always just flip the tables in the future. Dropping firmly to one knee, Woonhwi bowed his head respectfully. Intermediate rank cadet, so Woonhwi pays my respects to my master. Peeking out from behind the elder, the bruised twin held up his unconscious brother. Supreme Elder, what about the two of us? The elder rubbed his chin, sighing heavily. While you guys are clumsy, I cannot just chase away someone who has learned my martial arts. I do not like this, but I will accept the two of you as my disciples. The bruised twin's eyes sparkled with cartoonish tears of joy, stuttering, really. He immediately shoved his bald brother's head down, forcing a bow. Intermediate rank cadet Song Jae-wabik pays my respects to my master. Woo-hyun, repeat after me quickly. The bald brother woke up swinging, yelling at his twin. No, you should say your own name. Why did you say the last part too, you baldy? Suddenly, Woonhwi chimed in. Congratulations, junior brother. The twin froze in shock as Woonhwi flashed a devious grin. I cannot believe I have two junior brothers so quickly. I feel like I am flying on cloud 9. The twin practically screamed, Master, we are the ones who inherited your martial arts. Isn't it wrong for us to acknowledge him as our senior brother? Throwing his arms wide, the elder roared with laughter. Jongdi, do you see this? He shouted joyfully to the empty sky. Your predecessor has become my disciple. Still laughing like a maniac, the massive elder literally ran away across the snow. This is practically my victory now. Woonhwi stared after him, utterly deadpan. Sigh, he really wins in terms of his mindset. Floating nearby, the ghost spirit grumbled. I take back what I said. If you really must become his disciple, I won't help you anymore. High up in the icy mountains, a freezing waterfall roared through the desolate peaks. The elder's heavy footsteps crunched on the stone as he approached a withered skeleton wearing a purple robe. Have you been well, Jongdi? He asked softly. Sitting down heavily with a giant jug of wine, he looked at his old rival's remains. With this, I can finally get over you. The elder's smile faded, his eyes darkening with an ancient grudge. Except for one last thing, Jongdi, talk to me. The wind howled around them as he whispered fiercely, Who the hell killed you? Well, that's all for today. If you like this video, then give it a big thumbs up. And yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.